Elliot, you come on the road, you take down the Madison Radicals in the first round of the playoffs. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling blessed to have another one, have another option to go out and play with these dudes.
Honestly, we're just trying to win. The end goal is all like aligned for just that win at the end of the game.
Welcome fans to St. Paul, Minnesota for the Central Divisional Championship between the Minnesota Wind Chill and the Indianapolis AlleyCats. The AlleyCats earned their trip to Seafoam Stadium after taking down Madison in the first round of the playoffs. And tonight, we witness history one way or another. Either the AlleyCats will pull off one of the most astonishing upsets in UFA history, or the Wind Chill will earn their fourth straight division title, a feat only done by 4 teams. I'm Ryan Baker alongside Nikhil Jain in the booth today. Now, Nikhil, what are some of the storylines that we're looking for in this game today?
Well, it's about expectations. I've been looking forward to this game for so many years now, and so have all of the Minnesota fans. They expect to be here, they expect to win, and they expect to make another shot at the title in just a few more weeks. The AlleyCats, though, they're coming from a 4-8 season last year, 2025, but this year it's completely different. 7-6 is markedly better, and, I mean, they are here. They are ready to play.
It's going to be a grinder tonight. It's going to be a phenomenal game between two teams that are feeling themselves, and some of the other teams that are feeling themselves across the league are trying to get to championship weekend. First off, Austin was able to take down Carolina in the matchup last night by 1, so they have punched their ticket to Madison.
Great game.
We have New York and Boston also tonight alongside Oakland and Salt Lake. Nick, what game are you looking forward to the most out of those two?
I mean, you're crazy if you're not watching New York-Boston, but I got to say, people are sleeping on Salt Lake. They came here just a few weeks ago, and they gave the Wind Chill a big run for their money.
A team that was slept on last year in the Central Divisional Championship was yours truly, the Minnesota Wind Chill, when they were able to take down the Chicago Union in a very surprising game. A lot of people kind of wrote off Minnesota before that matchup as the Union were 12-0. They were the only undefeated team in UFA history to not advance the championship weekend. Minnesota went in there as the underdogs, came out 19-17 in a really sloppy game. Wind was super shifty. I was lucky enough to call that game as well. And man, was it just super excited. Burnett went out of his mind, multiple layout blocks. You got that goal right there. I mean, man, Minnesota played up to their level, and Indy's going to try to do that tonight.
I mean, if you haven't seen that game, I would recommend going back to watching it. I think it was the game of the year last season.
It was a phenomenal game, and I don't underscore that whatsoever. I think that that's a completely valid statement. And now, I mean, Burnett popped off in that game. He played phenomenally, and some of the players that we're going to be watching tonight in this matchup will be, Indianapolis's Elliot Hawkins.
I mean, this guy is a walking highlight reel. He has so many ridiculous accolades to his name. He has 23 goals, 69 assists, and 5 blocks. On top of that, he has 68 plus minus and 69 assists, which leads the league. On top of that, he has 688 yards per game, and that's split about 50-50 between receiving and throwing. Very, very few people in the league can do that, and Elliot Hawkins is maybe one of one.
And he's only played in 9 games this season, right? It's astonishing to see what he has done this season. And on top of that, I mean, there's 25 players in the league with 29 assists or more. He did that in 2 games alone this year.
Yeah, doing it once, a fluke. Doing it twice is a statement.
We'll see how much weight he has in this one, and a player on the Minnesota side that holds a ton of weight as well is the also 20-year-old Nathan DeMorgan.
Yeah, Nate DeMorgan, he's got 24 goals, 22 assists, and 2 blocks, and this is also his only second year playing from Salt Lake City last year to Minnesota this year. He's transitioned from defense to offense. He's cleaned up his completions from 83% to 92%. He's got 2,700 plus total yards, and almost every single point that Minnesota scores has his name on it in some way, shape, or form.
Exactly right. I mean, he hasn't scored fewer than 4 times in any given game this year. He's one of those players that opens up the offense to a whole different level with his versatility, being able to throw that lefty or that righty hammer while primarily throwing left-handed. And he's just a phenomenal player that a lot of the other O-line guys have given him a lot of credit of, hey, we can cut a lot different. We see the field a lot different when DeMorgan has the disc in his hands. One of the issues that we'll see tonight, though, is if he holds onto the disc a little bit too long. Nick, he'll give us some insight onto that.
Yeah, he's got 3 stalls, which is the most in the league, but hopefully he's learned how to get it out of his hands just a little bit quicker.
Exactly, and it'll be interesting to see the dichotomy between Nate and Elliot and how much their impact is going to have on the game, but also how much focus the defense has on both of those players, because I'm sure, Minnesota's defense, active roster right now, has 8 total all-defense selections across the board, across 6 guys, and they're one of the toughest defenses to get around. We'll see how much Elliott can maneuver the stout defense of Minnesota.
Yeah, you can goose egg a lot of players in this league, but Elliott is definitely not going to be one of them. You can limit him, you can contain him, but he's still going to get his.
Absolutely right. I mean, a couple weeks ago when he had 4 assists, 4 goals, and 1 block in that Madison playoff victory, really propelled, that entire team to have that momentum and take home that 2-point win. And we'll see tonight also of how the rest of the offenses work together. I mean, Minnesota hosts one of the best offenses in the league alongside one of the best defenses in the league. And Indianapolis is going to have to step up their game tonight, plain and simple. They're going to have to play, top-tier ultimate if they want to compete and stay close after dropping the first 2 games to Minnesota this year.
Yeah, but the first game, kind of a blowout. The second game, with a lot of players, out on the sideline out being injured, was only a 4-point difference, and it was very close throughout the majority of the game. So already, just from the early parts of the season to later on games, you can see marked improvements in this Cats roster and game plan.
100% can, and Indy has really found themselves in the back half of the season, rallying together the troops and being able to, gain some chemistry together and being able to, get to the playoffs and win a game. I mean, as soon as you get to the playoffs, we might say that Indy has the 6-6 regular season record. That doesn't matter anymore. None of it matters. Minnesota's 11-1 record, completely irrelevant right now. all that matters right now is what happens in these next 48 minutes. And right now we will see what will happen in these next 48 minutes, after we come back from break here and talk, some keys to the game.
The Ultimate Frisbee Association is proud to partner with Victory. Elevate your game with Victory insoles and recovery footwear at vktry.com. Delta THC Seltzers. No calories, no sugar, no alcohol. Catch life's moments at drinkdelta.com. Two Town Cider House, bringing the best craft cider for everyday celebration. Find yours at twotownciderhouse.com. And Disc-It. Round Net meets Ultimate. Disc-It is the must-have portable game for every UFA fan. Get yours at discitgame.com.
Elliot, you come on the road, you take down the Madison Radicals in the first round of the playoffs. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling blessed to have another one, have another option to go out and play with these dudes.
Honestly, we're just trying to win. The end goal is all like aligned for just that win at the end of the game.
Elliot, you come on the road, you take down the Madison Radicals in the first round of the...
Welcome back, fans, to Seafoam Stadium for the Central Divisional Championship between the Indianapolis AlleyCats and the Minnesota Wind Chill. Two teams are going to face off to punch their ticket to Madison, Wisconsin for championship weekend at the end of the month here. We already had one team yesterday punch their ticket in the Austin Soul, and we'll have the rest of the bracket set in stone after tonight. Super excited for the matchup, and it's going to be a barn burner tonight between these two teams. Weather's great, crowds bumping, everyone's feeling themselves. It's going to be an awesome game, but first let's look into some of the analysis for the game that we're going to be expecting. Minnesota, some keys to the game for them: play their ball and keep things lopsided. Nikhil, give us some insight.
Yeah, well, Minnesota's been known as a defensive stronghold for years and years, but that's 2025, 2024 Minnesota. 2026, Minnesota is playing conservative ball. They are playing offense-dominated. They're playing handler-dominated Frisbee, and that's the way that they need to play this thing today. They don't want to go back to any old way of playing. They just need to continue doing what's been working for them all season, what's worked for them against Indianapolis 2 times already. Additionally, to keep things lopsided, Minnesota's depth chart is kind of off the hooks. You can go from their 10 to 20 player and they'd find a starting 7 role in almost any other team in this league. They need to keep hammering home the big strengths that they have, starting with the crowd here. Near 2,000 people in attendance today. That's close to number 1 in the league, if not number 1. But additionally, they have some of the highest completion rates, some of the highest hold rates, some of the best offensive line conversions. No matter which way you slice these stats, Minnesota comes out near the top.
And then on the other side of the ball tonight, some of the Indianapolis keys to the game. Believe they can win and jump on opportunity. Head coach Nathan Busberg said after the Madison win, it's going in there with an unfathomable sense of confidence. We're going to live or die by the things we can do well. They want to come out here with the confidence that they can win this game. Otherwise, it's over before it even starts. And then jumping on opportunity seems very self-explanatory. Minnesota doesn't give up the disc a lot. 3rd least turnovers per game in the entire league. And when those do happen, Indianapolis has to capitalize. Otherwise, they're going to find themselves down in a hole that is incredibly hard to climb out of, especially against the Minnesota team that mainly plays from ahead.
Yeah, they've. I think you pointed this out in one of your articles earlier, but Minnesota's only been down a scant, 10% of their entire playtime this season, which is frankly ridiculous.
And we'll see if they can jump out to a lead right away with the first pull of the game as it hits the turf right at the end zone line. Leo Sovel Fernandez, one of the most sure-handed players on this O-line, having a little bit of trouble finding DeMorgan out of the gate, and DeMorgan's going to rip it. Second throw of the game. B. Vaughn back on the field. Good to see him. Connor Kincannon with a massive D on the first deep puck, second throw of the game.
I mean, this was the entire storyline in Madison. Concannon with a handful of insane blocks there, setting the tone here. We're not going to let anything go, but think from Minnesota's side. Bevon, coming off of an injury, is sent and is trusted to go deep. Had a ridiculously decent shot at the disc, just wasn't quite there. Maybe the disc, you could argue, was a little bit underthrown. But we'll see now if the D-line, or I should say the if the AlleyCats are able to march all the way up this field.
It'll be interesting to see how they can handle this turn right away with William Weddingell going off of his fingertips, and Will Brandt's going to get the disc, and Minnesota's off firing right away. Gordon Larson trying to find a reset here, but instead he finds Bevon, front corner of the end zone. Bevon, welcome back. First goal, first point since June 19th against the Salt Lake Shred. Man, it is good to see Bevon back on the field. And alongside him, William Weddingell on Indianapolis. That's a huge player to have back on the field who's only played 7 games this season.
We weren't expecting him to show up in this game. He's still dealing with some injuries, but I mean, this game, everybody's got to step up, and Weddingell is going to be a huge part of their D-line. He has 16 blocks, and despite his few game appearances, that's good enough for 10th best in the league, which really shows just how much of an impact he has on this line. Unfortunately, he couldn't quite get high enough, couldn't quite climb that ladder to catch the disc, as Bevon, I think, gets a little bit of redemption there. And we spoke to him earlier. He said he's at 95% in his right leg, so could be a little bit better, but hey, that's good enough for a goal.
Right, Bevon getting that first deep look right away gives everyone in the stadium a lot of confidence that he's feeling great and he's going to go out there and play the way he normally does play, which is phenomenal for this Minnesota team, and it's been a staple for so long. And as we get a pull out of bounds from Cameron Lacey there, an uncommon sight from one of the best pullers, if not the best, in the entire league. And Carter Hawkins has the disc. Midfield, Micah Davis, Kyle Soufflo on the mark. Seth Gudeman and Carter back there in the backfield with Soph Bontemps getting the disc near side. Soph's going to go for a huck himself. Elliot Hawkins, Paul Krennic, 23 on 23. Paul Krennic gets the block.
Both teams saying the exact same thing, but it looks like there was an integrity foul called. Oh, never mind. I scratched that. It looked like Indianapolis was about to pick up, but it'll turn right back into Minnesota's hands.
Krennic with the hammer to Micah Davis. Over to Kyle Soufflo. Nobody on him. He rips a huck. Got Burnett deep. Gets it right before the end zone. Burnett looking. Lucas Ambrose has to go over the shoulder, but grabs it. First break of the day. 2-0. Minnesota off to a great start.
I mean, this is exactly what we did not want to happen for the Indianapolis AlleyCats. They definitely had an opportunity, unfortunately could not find their initial break goal. Minnesota, though, they are going to keep on pounding, keep putting on the pressure. And my apologies for the integrity call there. I really thought I saw Paul Krennic putting up the classic marks for that, but no harm nor foul, I guess, as it goes. A couple of things that I haven't seen so far that I am seeing now is James Pollard.
James Pollard, a guy who got switched to offense in that Madison game last couple weeks ago and hadn't seen offense really at all season. End of quarters, if you combine all of his end of quarters, maybe 5 minutes of offense all season. And now we see him on the O-line right here. Wouldn't be shocked to see him play both ways a ton today to try to throw a wrinkle in Minnesota's defensive game plan. And we'll see if it works out as well as it did against Madison, as Indianapolis gets the disc in the back of the end zone. Cameron Lacey goes back to his traditional phenomenal pulls. And now Indy's going to have to work to get this out of Callahan country.
Now, not too many of those here, as holstering a deep shot. A couple other things to note, though, as they finally work it out up to Cam Brock, is we haven't seen a lot of hybrid players on the AlleyCat side. They make a habit of flexing different players, putting them on offense and defense, and even some of them switching between cutter and handler.
As we see Xavier Payne out there on offense right now, primarily a defender for this team, and Elliot Hawkins gets it up near side to Cameron Brock, gets a good chunk. Brock to Jake Felton, a name we haven't called, but we'll call Tundon Knight, rips it deep, has Seth Gudeman in his sights. Noah Kuhlman goes up with him, and it falls to the ground. A little bit of a mistimed jump from both parties. And now Noah Kuhlman's gonna pick up the disc and get moving immediately. Scary low throw that Paul Krennic digs out. Cameron Lacey, huck of his own. Owen Suflo has plenty of steps and is just out of the reach for number 77.
You know, Seafoam Stadium tonight, it's 83 degrees and just a little bit of a breeze, maybe 5 to 10 miles an hour. It's honestly beautiful Frisbee condition, and I think maybe the nerves are getting to these players just a tiny bit. Both of these throws definitely had, you know, the legs to get there. It's just slightly overplaced, slightly too far.
It's interesting to see because Minnesota has traditionally always played fast-paced this year with their offense and their transition offense as well off of a turn. And Indianapolis, you know, hucks the most in the league, or one of the most in the league, and they play also a traditionally fast-paced, but talking with head coach Nathan Busberg prior to this game, he really wanted to bring this game down to a crawling pace for the Indy offense. Really make sure that Minnesota's defense has to truly grind on every single throw and every single defensive point, but it's not what we've seen so far. We've seen, you know, 2 hucks off the rip from the Indy side, and it'll be interesting to see if Nathan Busberg can get his guys to kind of settle back down and understand, hey, this is just like any other game. Oh my goodness! A huge layout block from Noah Kuhlman.
Cam Brock is not happy about that at all.
No, he's not, but Christian Johnson says it doesn't matter. Hammer throw over the top to Owen. Gets his revenge after not being able to reach that last deep throw. And a break immediately again for Minnesota, up 3-0. This is getting dangerous right now.
It's one of those things where you kind of have to, get up off the mat, right? You've just been punched in the mouth, and you have to say, okay, we have to fight back. We have to get our breaks. We have to get our holds in place. And who's going to be talking to them about this? Their captain, Seth Gudeman, their assistant captains, Jason Kemp and Jack Havey. But I think other people, like maybe even Kai Creed, need to step up and start talking some positive mental attitude into their players and saying, look, there's tons of game left. We're only down by 3. It starts with 1 point, but it's got to start fast.
There's a lot of game left. You're exactly right. And we just saw that Noah Kuhlman layout. It did look like he may have gotten a little bit of a hip on Cameron Brock on that one, but nonetheless, no call, no foul, phenomenal layout block, and it looked like also Brock could have just tripped up himself on that one. It looked like he couldn't complete the complete stride that he was trying to go through. And as we take another peek at it here,
yeah, as I'm looking at this one, I think it's a clean play. He's in front of Cam Brock. He's not initiating hard contact. He's not running through him either. I see maybe a little bit of contact, but it's incidental, and I don't think, or I should say I think the refs made the right call in not calling it.
Yeah, it was clear that Cameron Brock tripped up on his own feet there, and as we took a peek at it, head coach Nathan Busberg for the AlleyCats called a timeout, and this is exactly what I asked him. I asked him a theoretical question, you know, prior to the game and said, hey, you go down 3-0 right away, what happens? And, you know, he goes down 3 breaks. He mentioned we got to use a momentum timeout. He believes those are super powerful in the UFA when they are used. It's not super common that momentum timeouts happen, but it's definitely necessary with this group right now.
I think just getting everybody to take a breath and say, okay, look, we knew that these guys are good. We have to come in here and remember to play our game, not their game. Though it is a resource that is no longer available to them, only 1 more in this half. So we'll see when Busberg elects to use his last timeout.
Hawkins brothers working the backfield together, and Elliott going deep. Carson Chamberlain, it's floating up. Zach Morton, and the disc is just going to trail out of bounds. An ill-advised huck on that execution from Elliott Hawkins, and this is exactly what, you know, has been Indy's kind of downfall in these games where they get down early. They feel like they have to play at a quicker pace. They feel like they have to push the tempo, and it just doesn't work. As the disc goes up, Zach Morton comes down with it over Elliott, and Minnesota's off to the races. Kyle Suflo floats it. Can Zach Morton get there? Reaches just outside of Chauffontamp. The two had some contact. Both respected it, and Morton comes up reeling. Minnesota 4-0. out of the gates, first 6 minutes of the game.
That is just an incredible leading disc, just outside of the outstretched fingertips. If Sofian is able to get there, I think it injects that energy that Indianapolis so desperately needs. And you have to be selling out right now. You have to be putting your body on the line for these throws. And unfortunately for Indianapolis, things are coming up just inside Minnesota's range and just outside of their own.
It's going to be really just, I keep on saying it's going to be interesting to see, but I mean, Indianapolis is going to have to pull something out of their hats right now. They're going to have to change something. They're going to have to get together and realize, hey, we're in this for a reason, but if this lead reaches any further point and they can't convert on this O-line hold right now, man, it becomes an incredibly dangerous game the rest of the way, and honestly, Minnesota is going to coast the rest of the game.
Well, so far, one thing sure is that Minnesota is earning its reputation as the stingiest hucks allowed per game defensive team in the entire league at just over 5. Now, the AlleyCats can keep shooting them, but I think Minnesota is saying, go for it. You know, it's been coming up our way the entire first quarter so far. Why would we want you to change anything else?
You're exactly right, and Minnesota does one of the best things as a defense. You know, a lot of credit to head coach Ben Feldman and his coaching staff of being able to throw a different look, disguise it, and then say, hey, we want you to throw this. Go ahead. Little do you know we have backside help on this, or we have a double team plan for you right when you get to this spot. And the game planning right now is totally in favor of Minnesota. Sweatingale gets it up to Xavier Payne. He rips it deep. It's getting there. Joel Close, Cam Lacey with a double block in the end zone, ensuring that Joel Close has no chance at pulling that one in. And same third huck. It's a tough one when it hasn't been working so far this game.
No, Minnesota's D-line, they'll throw up to Hansen, and Hansen, he's going to shoot it as well.
They're all feeling themselves. Blake Croffel grabs it just outside the end zone as the rest of his team catches up. He sees Burnett.
He's got to get rid of that disc.
Very close to a stall, except now Noah Kuhlman with the disc, and Noah Hansen's going to bunny hop into the end zone, 5 rip. I mean, this game's getting out of hand right now.
It's not looking the way that we expected to at all. If you're unfamiliar and you're in the Minnesota area, you have now just obtained free Dunkers Donuts from Quick Trip. All you have to do is text them, and I believe you go to coupon code. I'm sure we'll be able to verify the exact number that you have to text a little bit later. But 5-0 to start. You couldn't have asked for a better way for Minnesota to get this one off. But I want to rewind the clock just a little bit. These same third hucks, all of these hucks right now, they're just hanging in the air. They're not that zippy kind of go out and run and grab them. They're just hanging up there. I mean, at the end there, Cam Lacey was beat by 15 feet, if not more. But he had plenty of time to run up and under it, get a great jump, and then even have time to come down and get a second one. I mean, if your disc is a little bit lower, you don't have that opportunity because your cutter's there. He's given you that option, but the wind or maybe that shape of the throw is just not quite right.
It's been weird at Seafoam Stadium this year. You know, typically a super windy, super, changing wind direction type of stadium that gives a lot of players troubles. This year it's been a little bit deader, and what we've seen is, viewers shooting it deep to the left side. The disc has floated up traditionally a little bit more. Right side different. We're going to see it right here. Felton puts it deep. Cameron Brock has plenty of steps, and he catches it just outside the end zone. He's going to wait for the rest of his team to catch up. Seth Gudeman on his horse. Instead, looks over to the other side, gets it Carson Chamberlain for Indy's first score of the day.
They needed that. They needed their veteran Cam Brock to make a big play to get that huge gainer of, good Lord, 60 yards at least on that throw, and to actually pull it in. There were some defenders in the area, but he's stretched so deep. And Cam Brock not only is one of the few players left that has played in the 2012 era of this league, but he has a monstrous number of games. He's got more games played than any other player in UFA history, and I bet you he's got more playoff games played as well.
That would not shock me whatsoever. Cameron Brock, one of the biggest staples in the entire UFA, and he just keeps on getting better too. I mean, he has 41 goals, and that leads the team right now. It's good for top 10 in the entire league as well. And looking at how dominant he is as a receiver, one of the UFA's partners this year, Shown Space, that gives us a little bit more insight into some metrics and statistics for the players, receiver adjusted expected contribution, he ranks 5th in the entire league, and he's doing it in his 14th year.
He's 38 years old. I mean, it's hard to do when you're playing against 19 and 20-year-olds.
And he just keeps on producing. But for now, Nate DeMorgan's going to get it up to the Tulane product, Greg Cousins, and he's going to find Bevon. Welcome back once again. I'm going to keep saying it. Good to see number 3 on the uniform, or in the uniform, on the field. 6-1 Minnesota.
I mean, Bevon, it'd be surprising to tell me that he'd have it, except I'm seeing, hold up, they're bringing it back. There was a travel called. That goal's going to be ripped away.
Greg Cousins, no, that was the throw before that got called back, and now Nate DeMorgan's going to try to find something else. This is why Minnesota plays double score in practice. Zach Morton reaches out just in front of the Indy defender, and doesn't matter, same result, 6-1. Sorry, Bevon, you got your goal taken away from you, but it doesn't matter because Minnesota still has 6 goals. 3 minutes, 14 seconds left in the first quarter.
Zach Morton, 28 goals coming into this game, leading the win still. He's adding already 2 more to that stat tally. And Minnesota doesn't have any one particular player that is catching the vast majority of their goals. Zach Morton might be leading, but just behind him is Nate DeMorgan at 24, Will Brandt at 24, Greg Cousins at 19. And this is a team that likes to spread the disc out. There's not one superstar. We're all in this together. It's about wins, not any one particular player. And the way that I'm seeing the Winchell play right now is just an embodiment of that. They're dishing it to everybody. They're making use of it. And as soon as Bevon doesn't get it, it's an unfortunate travel call for them. Whatever, doesn't matter. Double score.
And Minnesota is one of the only teams in the entire league that really doesn't have a standout MVP candidate like these other teams do, at least that are remaining in the playoffs. And, I mean, it's worked well for them. Obviously, I said earlier in the pregame that they're on their way right now to the 4th straight Central Division title. Very few teams have done that so far, and right now they're right on track to lock it in. But first, Felton and Cameron Brock are going to see what they can do to bring the lead back or bring the deficit down. Sofban Tomp is going to find Elliot Hawkins, far side. Hawkins has a nose for the end zone. So does his teammate Seth Gudeman as they connect for Indy's 2nd goal. And Gudeman's plentiful amount of goals this season that he's had.
Yeah, he's doing excellent work for the AlleyCats. He's been actually their most proficient player over the last handful of seasons, and he's been, I'd say, the heart and soul, and it's a good reason why he's the team captain. He puts a lot on his shoulders. He gets a lot of scores, a lot of assists, and a lot of yards, but I think more than that is that he is reliable. He's in there, he's putting in the work, and, just to emphasize this was the first point where the AlleyCats didn't take a big shot. They worked it up methodically, they worked it up slowly, and it worked for them, right? They have these amazing players, and they don't have to, do anything crazy.
And Seth is the epitome of that, of just being consistent, like you said, Nick. And Seth has taken on a bit of a different role these last couple games with Jonathan Mast out for the year. And he's been taking more of a center handler role as opposed to, starting the year, the first game he was on defense and then switched to O-line, and that paid off incredibly well. And then now he goes over there. But Zach Morton's going to throw a turn, looks at his hand in confusion, wonder if that just hooked onto his finger a little bit long and it hits the turf. But back to Seth real quick, another big thing of his is that, Coach Busberg says, when Seth speaks up and talks, everybody listens. And he's the biggest voice on the team. He's the voice that everybody listens to when it gets spoken. And he has that influence, and they're going to need him to step up here and get some motivation for the rest of the guys as Indy's trying to convert on their break opportunity.
Great under to Havey, and dishes it right back.
Payne over to Jake Wall, to Jeremiah Branson, and he finds Joel Close for their first break of the day. Indianapolis, some energy now, only down 3, minute 30 left. Obviously, still down 3 is a good amount in the UFA, but nothing that's not possible to come back from.
Well, just like the season as a whole, they started off kind of weak, but so did they do in this game. Down 5-0, and the last handful of points, it's 3-1. You have to look at the recency bias on these teams because that's the momentum that's going to be going into the second quarter, that's going to be going on. And they just said, okay, they just scored 5 in a row. We just scored 3 in a row. What on earth is, what can't we do?
The UFA is a game of runs, and we're seeing that right now within, the first 9 points of the game. And Indianapolis, you're exactly right, Nick. I mean, they started the year at 1-4. They were 2-5 at one point as well. Ended the season 6-6. The back half of the season went incredibly well for them. And, they're not out of this game. They're not out of this game by any means. As Josh Klain fields that pull, gets it over. Noah Kuhlman near side. Noah Hansen, and they're going to be throwing out a little bit of a defensive line on offense here with, Josh Klain and Christian Johnson playing. Paul Krennic, one of the most impactful players for the wind chill, grabs that one before it can go out of bounds. And now Minnesota just settling into their offense, being patient.
I really like the way that they're just working with their handlers right now, just making sure that it's, nice, easy ball that they're playing, nothing crazy, nothing fast.
Kuhlman and Micah Davis were playing catch and dribbling it up the field a little bit. As Kuhlman gets it back to him. Davis, Pittsburgh product, runner-up, Opoy, D1 Player of the Year. As Christian Johnson for another hammer crossfield, William Weddingell able to reach up and get that disc. That's a tough matchup for Paul Krennic, especially when Weddingell has that positioning.
Yeah, 6'3" certainly helps as well, and this is one of the big reasons why we were both so excited that William was actually suiting up for this game. It's that position right there. One of the best blockers on the AlleyCats, and he shows exactly why he might be wearing the blockchain at the end of this day.
You can look at some of the blocks that Will has gotten, and you are completely speechless. I mean, he's 6'3", but his frame feels 6'8", 6'9" at some points as Xavier Payne hucks it up at the buzzer. Indianapolis pulls it down in the sea of crowd. That's Connor Kincannon putting his mark on the game, and man, has he shown out in the playoffs.
Can we talk about just how different of a game it feels now, 6-4, than it did just 6 minutes ago when it was 5-0? It's not even just a game of quarters. We're playing a game of eighths right now. The first half of the first quarter, okay, Minnesota is waltzing over to Madison, but now who knows what the second quarter will hold.
It was an all up and down first quarter, and now the crowd is sitting down. They're quiet. We'll see if Minnesota can get them back into it. And, man, what a catch by Connor Kincannon there to rise up over the two Minnesota defenders. They push the gap to 2. Minnesota 6, Indianapolis 4. Join us for the second quarter in just a few minutes. Welcome back, UFA fans, to the Central Divisional Championship between the Minnesota Wind Chill and the Indianapolis AlleyCats as the teams battle for their ticket to the 2026 championship weekend being held August 27th and 28th in the ultimate capital city of the world, Madison, Wisconsin. The two semifinal games will take place on August 27th, that Thursday, followed by that Friday, the WUL versus PUL All-Star game happening right before what every team has been working for all season, the 2026 UFA Championship, where one team walks away crowned as the champion of the year, of the season. and it's going to be one exciting thing to watch as the bracket will be set after tonight's games. But for now, we need to figure out what's going to happen the rest of the way between Minnesota and Indianapolis.
If you asked me after 6 minutes, I'd have an answer. If you asked me in the last 6 minutes, I'd have a completely different answer. I have no way of knowing. Nobody does what's going to happen here. And all of a sudden now, with the kind of under game that the AlleyCats have been playing, maybe Minnesota kind of gets lulled into a false sense of complacency. What a catch. Oh, my God, what a catch.
Soph Bontemps reaches out. Jake Felton on that swing. Number 97 saves the possession. Indianapolis is sure glad to have Bontemps back, who has played in just a few games this season, but man, has he been effective. Felton gets it far side, and he's looking. Hammer missile to Bontemps, who jumps in front of Lucas Ambrose and Justin Burnett to grab it, and then feeds it into Seth Gudeman for the score.
2 insane catches from Sophie on that play. His last name literally translates to good times. And this point was certainly a good time for the AlleyCats.
My goodness, Bontemps, who has been one of their best cutters on the field when he does touch the field.
I can't believe he caught that disc. Honestly, that is a full field extension. And this one, maybe even somehow more impressive, surviving the contact. Now, I think if he didn't catch that, the refs would have called it. That's a continuation play. But it is still insanely incredible athleticism from, a player who's only played 10 games in the UFA.
And that was against 2 of the top defenders in the entire league, Lucas Ambrose and Justin Burnett. But man, my goodness, Bontemps, what a couple catches, and he's going to be doing that all game. He was one of the guys that punished Minnesota the most in their last matchup. I mean, he had 4 goals in that game.
I mean, it's one of those things where this guy just has so much experience coming in, playing for the Mooncatchers in Europe. He can do so many different things, and there's just such a lack of, I think, experience for a lot of the UFA teams playing against him just because he's been having to fly over a lot. But very obviously, they have to take him seriously, and it's not that the wind chill aren't, but, I mean, dang.
Got to put even more attention at one point on them, right? With how much he's impacting as the refs are getting together, it looks like, to figure out what exactly is going to take place on this pull. James.
Looks like they're giving AlleyCats slightly advantageous field position, probably due to that foul at the end.
A new rule this year in the UFA that the foul that gets called on a score is then applied to the pull as opposed to just a moot point.
Mm-hmm. But it's now 6-5. I mean, it is a 5-1 run, which started as a 5-0 run. So, I mean, game of runs, sure, but now Minnesota has the exact same question being asked. You got punched in the face. How are you getting up off the mat?
Minnesota very good at being able to get off the mat, but man, this crowd is quiet.
That they are pulling from very far up. That might have been like a flagrant foul. Oh my God, a catch after Sophians as well.
Greg Cousins, no stranger to making possession saving and just freakish catches, especially in the playoffs. And Minnesota is going to get it back to him. Still in the end zone, though. Cousins is going to pump the deep shot. Gets it to the middle of the field to DeMorgan.
He'll find Morton. Oh, and a bobble and a drop. Uncharacteristic.
Noah Kuhlman with the drop on that, and Jeremiah Branson picks up, sees James Pollard, who's going to be able to jump into the end zone. Indianapolis ties this game. Huge spike from Pollard. It is now 6-6 early on in the second quarter. My goodness.
There is times when you make mistakes, and there's times when you beat yourself, and this was both of them. As soon as he bobbled that disc, he had his head hung low, and you have 2 different AlleyCats players streaking deep. Any coach will tell you they are the most dangerous players on the field, and you have one person running way too far to try to cover him. There's too many options, and Minnesota is asleep at the wheel right now.
And that was the same theoretical question that I asked Feldman as before, though. I mentioned that. Let's take a peek. We see that drop, just a simple fold.
And he's not running back. He's not covering. And already it's too late. The damage has been done. They could have chosen Pollard. They could have chosen anybody else down there. It just happens that he's the one to pull it in.
And now it's a matter of Minnesota cleaning up these self-inflicted wounds. I asked head coach Ben Feldman, you guys go down 3-0. I know it's not the beginning of the game anymore, but I asked him, you guys go down 3-0, what's the message? He goes, well, if that happens, it's most likely drops. errant throws, it's self-inflicted wounds, and that's exactly what it's been throughout this Indianapolis run.
Well, it's going to have to be up to Minnesota them to pull them out of their own stupor, and it looks like they have another interesting line. You've got Micah Davis cutting deep, Bevon in the middle of the field as a huge rip goes out from him. He's going to have to work his way back, still pulls it down over a bidding player, and that's Concannon, who's injured. Oh, that is an absolute disaster for the AlleyCats if he's out of this game.
Connor has been honestly one of the most impactful players on this Indy team through their Madison playoff game and through the first 12 minutes as we take a peek at this.
I mean, he is running off the field afterwards, but he's there, and unfortunately it looks like he just tumbled a little too violently. He's there, he's trying to make the play, but the contact, the awkward roll, and it looks like he rolled his ankle. But after the play, he ran off the field on his own power. I have high hopes that he'll be coming back in later on in this game.
As we were talking about that, Christian Johnson was able to score and get Minnesota back on the board in some good graces with their fans, and now they're up 7-6. But little emotion from that Minnesota team after that score. Very little emotion. I think they're a little bit disappointed in themselves right now for how they blew that lead.
Well, to talk about expectations, they expected to be up 5-0. They expect to continue to put on the pressure, and they did not expect to get absolutely mollywopped back by this Cats offense and frankly, defensive line. So many self-inflicted turns. It's the defensive line from the AlleyCats that are able to find so many scores.
The defensive line has been playing incredibly well since they were able to blow out Madison just about a month or so ago. And one of the big things that Busberg had emphasized was at some point, these guys have to play for the name on the back of their jersey. Their last name has to mean something. And obviously, it kicked into gear throughout this run. And now, Indy's O-line is going to try to tie up the game. Felton to Carter Hawkins, Dylan DeClerc on the mark, and those two not getting too much help from their cutters. But Felton's going to float one up. Elliot Hawkins runs it down.
You know, until just very recently, they were playing a very flat look. Nobody's really running deep. Now they're stretching the field a little bit more. Justin Burnett on that Hawkins matchup. He's been tasked with containing, the MVP candidate of this season. But once again, you know, they are just really holding them in, but a deep shot goes up. This one also floating.
Burnett, Hawkins going to battle in the air. Hawkins has the position, and he pulls it down, but oh my goodness.
Oh no.
Hawkins is down and looks down bad right now. Burnett's checking in on him, and Hawkins is in some pain. I wonder if his wind got knocked out of him. Hopefully it's just that, because he did land pretty rough straight on his back.
Looks like that's the extent of it. He did stand up. It looks like he's staying on the field as well, but still a scary moment.
All the Indy sideline, head coaches, fans watching right now just were holding their breath because Hawkins goes down and this AlleyCat team looks like a completely different squad then.
Oh, but luckily he is going to be fine, and he's taking a handful of steps back. A foul, certainly not on Hawkins.
It looks to be that way right now.
So he gets the catch, but fouled by getting the catch. That's an interesting set of circumstances here, but he'll rip one immediately afterwards, and it's double grabbed.
Noah Kuhlman rips it from Cameron Brock, and those two have been going at it all game. As Minnesota just exploding off of those throws. Kuhlman gets it to DeClerc.
Suflo on the far side, completely left open.
Lacey didn't see it, but Kuhlman gets it back to Lacey, lays out, grabs it for the break. Minnesota up 2.
Couple of very scary moments, couple of near injuries. You know, here's hoping that Connor Concannon can come back in. Here's hoping that Hawkins only had the wind knocked out of him, but still, all of these deep balls, they continue to hang up, and there's a reason why we sometimes call them hospital passes.
That's exactly right, and
yeah, just looking at this one again, I think you are right. I think he just lands on his back, and I think, yeah, the wind just got knocked out of him. I mean, he was able to stand up. He did not take a substitution off the field. And, you know, for better or worse, he is still only 20. And this play right here, It looks like Cam Brock stopped rotation to me. It's tough to see on that replay alone, and Minnesota was right there, but whoever stops rotation first, they have possession. If you strip it off, it's still their ball.
It looked, from the very short clip that we had, it looked like Brock stopped rotation but then lost it at the same time. As soon as he kind of leaped out a little bit further, we won't know. We'll have to look back at it, and we'll leave it up to the social media people to be able to determine what actually happened on that point. But nonetheless, what it resulted in is a Minnesota break. And Indy's going to try to get one back here now. Carter up the field to Felton. Back to Carter.
Oh, there's 10. There's an easy 10.
Yeah, Blake Croffel understood right away. Ran into Carter. Understands what happens. Now Carter working from about the 50-yard line.
They'll send it back. Bidding attempt is not going to be good enough, and Minnesota will establish possession just outside of the red zone.
And they're going to get moving quick. This is what Minnesota does all the time with these short fields. They immediately get the first pass off. And now Noah Hansen's trying to find the end zone. Lefty backhand, giant layout, Lucas Ambrose. My Lord. Lucas, double clutch on that full extension layout. That was a phenomenal goal by the former Defensive Player of the Year.
Well, we talked about how is Minnesota going to get picked up off this mat, and it's through these small plays like this. A slightly too far dump goes, and now Noah Hansen is just going to let this one sail. Maybe you could argue a foot too far, but it's not far enough, and it's a beautiful catch.
Hansen has turned it on a lot since the back half of the season. The first 6 games, he only had 1 block and 7 assists. Right now, 22 assists, 23 now technically, and 7 blocks. He has really turned it up and been a focal point of that transition offense handler movement.
Yeah, it is definitely one of the strengths of Minnesota's team to have these players that are so good kind of both sides of this disc, or can be trusted to not need to burn a timeout to put on an offensive line to punch home that score. And Minnesota now 7 for 8 in red zone, over 85%, which was their season average so far. This is exactly what they need to do, is get into scoring opportunities and convert.
And another timeout taken by head coach Nathan Busberg, seen as another probably momentum timeout on his end. And one of the things that he mentioned in that phone call was, and that he's probably relaying to his guys, is we cannot get mentally broken. A 3-point lead, a 4-point lead, heck, a 6-point lead. We can come back from, we can do it. Except if you start to slouch your shoulders, if you start to hang your head, that's when the game ends, okay? And Busberg is probably preaching to his guys, hey, we're still in this game as much as we were before.
It's one thing for your opponents to beat you. It's an entirely other thing for you to beat yourself.
One of the things that he mentioned was that, you got to take small steps up the mountain. You try to climb, quote from him, you try to climb Mount Everest in 1 step. Good luck. You got to put just 1 foot in front of the other and trek up the mountain. And that's what Indy's going to try to do as they get placed, in that, I'd say, middle of the mountain right now. Bottom of the mountain was that 6-0. They got back up to the top. Now they're in the middle.
Yeah, they're at a base camp.
Right, exactly.
And that's where they need to be. And I honestly really hope that they've learned some lessons from that ascent to the base camp and continue to play this more under-heavy style Frisbee. They need to get out right now. Not getting stalled in their end zone would be a great first place to start, but not taking these huge, crazy shots until they're a little bit further upfield, though I say that, and this one looks great.
I was going to say, Elliot Hawkins didn't listen to you at all. Seth Gudeman's going to lay out for it. He's going to get it just a couple yards outside the end zone. Amazing grab by the captain. Tussof Bontemps for the goal. Indianapolis within 2 now.
God, it looked so good. The moment that he let it go from his hand, you could tell that Gudeman, despite being so far away, he had the legs to run it down. And once again, just barely, but he's now had a couple of insane catches. He's putting the team on his back, and look at this. Never loses focus of this disc. Beautiful, perfect catch from the captain.
Absolutely textbook by number 17 and the leader of this squad. What a way to put some energy into this team and get them, reeling, get them back up onto positive vibes, onto, hey, let's keep playing this game. We're not out of this by any means, and they're not.
No, not at all. 7-9, it is still very, very doable as Minnesota will continue to field these pretty solid pulls. And usually it's been Pollard pulling all season, but now with him on the offensive line, they've had to dip into some other players as well.
As Nate DeMorgan and Jack Gall have a little bit of contact in the middle of the field, and that's going to be a 10-yard penalty on the AlleyCats. DeMorgan out of the set, double teamed by Connor Blaylock. Gordon Larson, their main quarterback of the year, up to former college teammates, and a lot of contact between Greg Cousins and Jack Gall. That's a pretty rough play. Mutual respect from the two. Understands that some of these plays just do happen. These guys are competitors, but man, that one was pretty aggressive, and they're going to call flagrant on that one. Greg?
That play was bad for two different reasons. I don't think the disc should have ever been thrown into traffic like that. That is a tough catch to make. Credit where credit's due. Insane catch by Cousins. But that D play, you have to know that you're cutting right into the legs of Minnesota's player. You can't be doing that.
It's a tough look right now, and Cousins is going to try to find someone right off the rip as he missiles it right into Josh Klain. And good to see Cousins walking around just completely fine right now after taking a huge hit to the legs.
It's I kind of feel like we're almost tempting fate here. There's been a number of collisions and near injuries. I don't believe I've seen Concannon come back to the field yet. Maybe he's still working with trainers or just on the sideline resting his leg. I sure hope he's able to make his way back out there, but I mean, the way that these two teams are playing, I'm happy that the refs called that a flagrant.
You're absolutely right, Nick, and it does look like, from my view right now, Connor's walking normally. He's not on the field quite yet, but it doesn't look like he has a bit of a limp at all, so hopefully he gets back on the field.
And this throw, it's a great bullet. There's just so much space in the UFA field to find targets, and as long as you can kind of find that little 5-foot bubble where nobody's around you, these players should have the speed and execution to get you the disc. 1,000%.
Greg Cousins, better than most when it comes to that incredibly experienced player. Cameron Lacey with a massive pull, a little bobble by Seth Gudeman, but Carter has it on their own end zone line. Indianapolis trying to find a little bit of a hole in this Minnesota defense.
Justin Burnett still on the Hawkins matchup, fronting him actually, which is interesting, trusting his legs to catch him on the backside, but Hawkins will get open nonetheless.
Now the crowd of Minnesota is getting a little bit back into it. They're getting a little bit more energy boosted, and talking to Nate DeMorgan before the game, he said it was absolutely crucial to get these fans involved early. Felton going to float it up a little bit, let Cameron Brock milk it. Cameron, yard outside the end zone, Carson Chamberlain. Goal scored, 8-10. Indianapolis took care of business.
And that is another assist for Cam Brock, I believe his second of the day so far. And he's been making these great plays, getting good gainers, and he's not quite in, but it doesn't matter because he's got the experience to know, how do I convert? How do I punch this in? How do I keep the score competitive? 10-8, it was 9-7, it was 8-6. AlleyCats are hanging in there.
They absolutely are, and that throw by Jake Felton, too, that inside little floaty throw, same third. Great put by him, not necessarily a huck, but really great touch on that one to have Brock, milk that a little bit right outside of the end zone to catch it and throw the assist. And Felton has been playing incredibly well right now, and he might be a precursor to an announcer's curse, but he has yet to have a turn yet this game, which is one of the things that I'm looking for the most, to see how many turns that Felton has, especially with the uptick in touches that he's had the last few weeks.
Yeah, well, that can all be traced back to Mast being out due to some injuries. He's had, to take on a larger and larger burden of the handling requirements. And Felton does not do the best with the disc sometimes. He's got an 85% completion rate, which is not very high as far as the league is concerned, but today he's playing excellent, and he needs to continue to do so if Indianapolis wants a chance at winning. Oh, triple teamed.
Now Brandt over the top to Josh Klain, has Zach Morton down the field, opts to go short, goes to Bevon, just past the 50-yard marker. Now Bevon's going to try to find Gordon Larson for the reset. And Larson, we haven't mentioned his name a whole ton tonight, but I'm sure his time will come. Klain, near side, has really nothing, but finds a good chunk to the under of Cousins.
There's Brandt. He'll find the, that disc is going to hang. This is scary.
And Cousin gets bumped in the air. Xavier Payne on the contact, and everyone's looking up to see if there's a foul. No foul called.
Feldman is furious about that.
And it might have, the frustration is a little bit warranted. There was a lot of contact, but they call a foul on Bevon right there. Indy gets 10.
Big chance for Indy to bring this back within one. One going deep, holstering it as well. Klain maybe thinking about taking that shot to Zach Morton just a second ago, but instead, they're just going to be sitting. They're just going to be waiting as Pollard's got to get rid of this one. He's going to send this one deep.
Jason Kemp can't hang on to it off the fingertips. And that's a tough blow on that break opportunity for the AlleyCats.
Yeah, great defense by Minnesota, forcing Pollard to take that relatively risky shot. And Pollard, another thrower who has a pretty substandard completion rating. He makes a lot of shots. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. And here's an example of one that just didn't work out.
He's been sitting around an 80% completion percentage right now all season, and it's been slightly disappointing in terms of his other outputs that he's had, you know, when he was with Philadelphia, when he was with Minnesota last year, and a timeout by head coach Ben Feldman of the Wind Chill to kind of get his offense back out there and calm him down a little bit, say, hey, let's punch this in.
Yeah, and this point's been going on for a while, but let's go back to this this play where Greg Cousins did not get fouled. First off, not the best throw by Brandt. Hangs up there way too long. A little bit of contact by Xavier Payne, though you're both going up in space. Cousins is up vertically.
Payne did kind of interrupt Cousins' space there in the air, which makes it tough.
If it got called a foul, I wouldn't be surprised. The fact that it wasn't called, I'm not super surprised either. You could make arguments either way, and I could buy into them.
You're right. I would absolutely as well agree with that. And then it ultimately did not matter after Jason Kemp had that drop in the end zone. I mean, that was the best put Pollard could have had. I wouldn't say that one was necessarily on Pollard as much as it was on Kemp for dropping.
I actually think it's on the rest of his team for not getting open for an easier dump. Or maybe it's on Minnesota for playing lockdown D and forcing him to take that deep shot.
I mean, he was on the sideline. The reset should have been there earlier. The reset should have at least tried to, you know, play around in that handler space a little bit more, a little bit longer. Nonetheless, Minnesota is going to turn around, try to make Indy regret their decisions and their execution. As we mentioned earlier, Connor Kincannon back on the field now with that layout.
And making another bid. That gives me tons of confidence that he is feeling back to 100%. And another bid, another player falling over. I mean, this is, I'm not going to say getting touchy, but this is getting dicey.
Indianapolis is putting their bodies on the line, and that's exactly what they want. Maybe not in necessarily some of the ways that they've done it so far, but Busberg has to be happy with the effort he's seen from his squad. And
high stall from Gordon Larson. They'll get it off just in the nick of time.
Kuhlman, far side up to Gordon Larson, and the two are going to try to get it back to the middle of the field. Kuhlman up to Klain. Klain's trying to find something. Cutters aren't getting open.
Was that?
And now a stall count?
I think it looks like it's a pick downfield.
Pick downfield is correct. And now Klain's going to walk it up 10 yards with Jack Gall on the mark. Gall, who made one of the game-sealing layout, just insane blocks in that Madison playoff game. But Klain gets it up to Nathan DeMorgan, punches in the goal, and they extend their lead back to 3.
This is a really big point. It feels great to be able to call that timeout, put in your substitutions, get your O-line out there, and actually convert, get a nice score. It's something that I think Minnesota needed. I think Ben Feldman needed this one. And once again, kind of seeing this one, I guess we get to say the 3 magic words, just don't lie, but it feels cheap, I think, there. I don't know about that.
Could have went either way, to be honest, with that. And, you know, we see the layouts from Jack Gall. And then Klain, phenomenal pump fake there, and then getting Gall to kind of set up a little bit more center and then feeding that backhand.
Yeah, good rotation, good step through, getting it there. And, yeah, Minnesota up by 3, a minute 50 left on the clock. And we're going to start transitioning into roller pulls. And that one from Lacey goes very far, not bid in at all at the 25-yard line, 27, scratch that. And you're going to have Morton and Blake, two of the tallest Minnesota players on, but Hawkins will hammer over the top, and the outstretched bid just can't quite find it. Another break chance for Minnesota to go up by 4 as they move the disc quickly.
Crawford up to Lacey, 4 yards outside the end zone. He's going to try to find something. Opts for the reset to Paul Krennic. PK, one of the playoff demons for Minnesota, to Zach Morton right before the sideline. Break chance secured for the wind chill, up 4.
37 seconds is all that one took for Minnesota, and they have brought this lead basically all the way back to the biggest it's been all game. And it starts with this, I'm not going to say lazy, it just feels casual. You know, this casual hammer from Hawkins, and that's the right play. You have to throw that hammer out there, but not the easiest throw to make, especially if you're not sending it very, very far away, giving your receiver tons of time to get under it. And I mean, credit where credit's due. He sailed, he flew for that one, just could not quite get there in time.
Carson, home to one of the SportsCenter top 10 plays for the UFA this year on one of his amazing layouts over in Indianapolis about a month or so ago. Did give a ton of effort on that one, and now Minnesota trying to get that short field again.
Oh, and now we've got Indianapolis. They've got 60 seconds as they are going to be pushed. They'll get a free 10.
Burnett, Elliott Hawkins on that step through, got a little bit of contact from Burnett, and both of them, you know, emotions are high right now. A little bit of time. Hawkins pumps the deep, gets it to his brother. Carter gets it up to Brock. Micah Davis almost jumped in front of that one. But Carter has the disc right now.
45 seconds.
Clock's timing down. Jake Felton with the disc. A little bit low, and there's the turn. There's the first turn for Jake Felton of the day, and a tough one in a tough spot with just 30 seconds left in the half.
And now Minnesota just wants to walk this one out, burn up, chew this clock, but find that score with just a few seconds left. This is what they practice. This is what they train for, and they have it in the red zone.
The Suaflo brothers, Minnesota's got their own brother tandem between Kyle and Owen. Noah Kuhlman with a nasty blade into the end zone to Owen Suaflo. My goodness, Kuhlman.
That is a really hard throw to make. That is an OI throw coming across your body, but it has to blade quickly. If it hangs in the air too long, it's going to get knocked down. That is a very, very high-skilled throw to make, and importantly, only 14 seconds left for Indianapolis to answer back. They were able to find a crazy quarter one play, but here, take a look at that throw once more. It is crazy. Great catch from Owen, but good Lord is that throw insane. Once more.
Very impressive by Kuhlman finding that spot. I mean, Suaflo was wide open, but to find him with that throw was impressive. And now, I mean, it feels like Indianapolis, all of that work that they put in to eliminate that 6-point lead, to tie up the game, to be able to be neck and neck, it feels like nearly wasted energy at one point.
There's been questions asked by both teams. How do you stop the deep disc? Okay, how do you stop the unders? Okay, well, Minnesota is now asking the question, how are you going to deal with this new style of defense? And I'm not sure Indy has the answer yet. Luckily, they'll have halftime in just a few seconds, but they have 10 seconds to get up the field.
Hawkins fumbled that pull, had to start at the back of the end zone. DeClerc on Sofontamp with the block. They have 5 seconds left in a timeout call.
Beautiful call by Feldman. He has the second resource, but actually, hold on a second.
I wonder if they're going to be reviewing that foul call, if there was a foul call on DeClerc on that block, but it doesn't look like it. No timeout call. Lacey's double teamed. 5 seconds left. Lacey's got to find something. He's got to find something quick, but Feldman calls the timeout this time, and now Feldman's letting the refs hear it.
Yeah, and this is, I think, the big difference in ethos between Busberg and Feldman. Are the momentum times out more important, or is the set play from Feldman going to net them an additional goal? 13-8 is great. 14-8 feels almost impossible. Now, obviously, we've seen what the AlleyCats can do, but 5 seconds left, you're going to get a set play, an untimed first throw, and whoever they want, I have to imagine that it's a 2-throw play. First to center it, second to punch something in.
We're going to be probably looking for a Zach Morton-esque type of catch here, who's been phenomenal at the end of quarters. But first, Man, that DeClercq block.
He got up there. I mean, and that is over a very, very impressive. Was that Bontemps? I think, yeah, that is, it's tough. We've already seen the heights that guy can reach to, but DeClercq, he is not going to be bested.
And now Minnesota is going to start the disc with their best sideline option, Will Brandt. The tall frame, the throwing angles. Nobody can do it better than Brandt. And he's going to try to find someone right away, or is he just going to go over the top into the end zone right away?
They have both Blake and Zach, two other tall targets there as well. There's the dump. Lacey hammers over the top. Zach Morton can't quite be tall enough, though. Time will expire in the second quarter as Minnesota will only be up by 5.
Indy dodged a huge bullet, maybe the coffin throw of the game on that one. I mean, going down 6, Minnesota, that would have put the 3rd goal on the docket for Minnesota in the last 90 seconds of the half. The short field almost burnt them to go down 6 coming out of this break. And man, they just dodged a major bullet there. And now Minnesota is going to try to gear up. Both teams actually are going to try to gear up for the second half. Indy's going to have to recollect and figure out what they can do to dig themselves out of this hole.
Yeah, this hammer. I mean, it's a great drawn play from Feldman. And I mean, Zach gets up there. He did try his best, but it's maybe just 6 inches, 7 inches too tall.
I think Zach probably thought that disc was going to stay down a little bit more as you see him kind of come closer into the disc there as opposed to staying back. Probably wanted to beat Elliott to the actual jumping space. Regardless, disc goes over both fingertips.
Yeah, it's tough sometimes to read this. And this is not the first disc that we've seen that just kind of hung up there today. Maybe it's thermals off the turf. Maybe it's just the ambient air, whatever it happens to be. It just was too tall.
Exactly. We'll see what else is going to come. It's been a jam-packed game so far. Leads come back from deficits shattered. But for now, Minnesota 13, Indianapolis 8. Join us after halftime.
Why not you, and why not now?
Some of these unders just look so easy, Keith. Now Yacht shooting it deep. Jack Williams with a left hand elevates and scores, skying over Josh Leitner.
Evan, I don't know if that looked like regular season with Jack out there.
Personnel on the field. Cam Brock. Felton bobbles it and then catches it. Looking to slide it and blocked out of the air. Sterling Kanaki.
And the veteran Sterling Kanaki, always going to get up for a game like this.
I think it's really close. And that's a great block. Tremendous effort there from Micah Wagner.
And I love to see the guy rewarded. He has been working hard all game. He's had a strong defensive game. That doesn't always mean
against a talented Minnesota squad. Felton, he likes to look deep. He's going to Elliott Hawkins, the league leader in receiving yards. It's not even close. How do you stop that man? Elliott Hawkins, how do you do 2. 2 weekends. We'll have some more playoff action for you. Jake Felton looking crossfield to Cam Brock for goal number 700 for one of the best to ever do it. One of the OG players on that 2012 AlleyCats team. And his third goal tonight means number 700 on the career scoring chart for Cameron Brock.
Times to start this third quarter. Ronker's going to take the shot. El Salam chased by Siraj Mataraju. And it's El Salam soaring and scoring. What an incredible catch by Khalif El Salam. Or Superman. Not sure who. Wow.
As expected. Pollard. Now back to Felton. He will send this one up the field. James Pollard against Gutowski again. Who can get there first? It's James Pollard. Unreal. Who's got better hops than James Pollard?
And if you're the Madison Radicals, that's exactly what you want. You want a guy like Anthony Gutowski, one of your best athletes, going up in the air. James Pollard with just a better play there for the Indianapolis AlleyCats.
Sherstrom down the way. Open Max Sample. He looks off Robert, instead finds. Oh, Checo with an excellent diving block. Looks like he.
Rod. Letting one go. Jack Horse on his horse. Not quite in. The signature roll. Seattle answers quickly. There's Ian Sweeney finishing it off.
There's a really iconic clip of Mark Munoz having a full-out layout extension.
Wagner's probably been their best of the young players, but he hasn't been able to get a block yet.
Back of the end zone, greatest attempt! Alex Davis kept it in! Dante Murray has the goal, but Alex Davis with the greatest for the Empire! Are you kidding me?
And look at the Sally. You're telling me they weren't going to put this guy in the lineup? Come on.
Unreal. You're right, Kins. It was a little casual on the throw from Cowan. Davis, that's a perfect greatest.
You ready to meet the latest addition to the family? The money you saved us with auto owners helped make it all possible. It really is the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Excuse me?
Third best thing. Third best thing.
Auto Owners offers discounts for life, home, car, and business insurance because they think the more you protect, the more you should save. That's simple human sense.
Hello, Wind Chill fans. If you're looking to buy your next home or sell the home you're already in, you can trust Realty Guy to help you navigate this treacherous housing market. Bitten by a radioactive housefly in 1993, mild-mannered realtor Brent Johnson became Realty Guy, your real estate super agent. Brent Johnson, Realty Guy with Keller Williams Realty, teamrealtyguy.com.
Creatine is only for extreme athletes who eat dominance.
Actually, let's skip that part. Combat Candy is for everyone who trains hard and deserves better than choking down powder. 5 grams of science-backed creatine in a gummy that turns supplement routine into something to look forward to. Just because your workout is serious business doesn't mean your creatine supplements have to be. Combat Candy, making strength frickin' delicious. Try it at combatcandies.com.
Let's make sure your customers' data isn't on the menu. FR Secure, security experts on a mission. Learn how to protect your business at frsecure.com.
Excuse me, man. You dropped this.
here.
Meet Go for 5. This gopher keeps the good times going. With 3 drawings a week and jackpots starting at $100,000. Where Go for 5 goes, fun follows. Dig it.
Your body can. Prove you have what it takes. Thrive when the pressure's on. Explore more. Get up, step up, and keep up. Your body can conquer trails, stand atop podiums, see things you've never seen, make memories, break rules, and tackle every day head on. Because with Tria by your side, your body can do amazing things.
I would highly recommend Want-A-Thome to anyone. Unequivocally, the best experience I've had. The whole firm is extremely competent. They're extremely kind and friendly. When I felt the lowest and the least supported, Sean and the firm really came through. Sean or anyone would call just to check up and say, hey, what can we do to help you? There's no lawyer you're gonna find who's gonna fight for you harder and get you a better outcome.
Let's go chill!
Welcome back, UFA fans, to the Central Divisional Championship taking place here at Seafoam Stadium in St. Paul, Minnesota. Right now, the wind chill are up 13 to Indianapolis's 8. As we look at some of the stats, Nick, what stands out to you the most?
It's turnovers. I mean, 12 turnovers from Indy, 6 blocks from Minnesota, and it's the reciprocal 6 turns from Minnesota and 3 blocks for Indy, and those turns have been, insanely impactful. You can look at the D-length version, 8 out of 10 for Minnesota, 3 for 5 for Indy. I mean, they're making them. They're just not getting as many opportunities. And some of these, good blocks. Some of them, wayward throws. And I think as long as Indianapolis can kind of bring these this back under control, be a little bit more chilly with them, they're going to be in a great opportunity to go on another, 4-1, 5-1 run to get right back into this game.
Those opportunities are the biggest thing that I'm looking at. Indy is 3 for 5, same percentage as Minnesota. Well, lower than Minnesota. However, it's the amount of opportunities and the fact that they aren't capitalizing on all of them. We said it as one of the keys of the game. Indy needs to jump on the opportunities and play better than they have all season long. 3 for 5 is not better than how they played all season long.
Yeah, but hold on a second. We have seen them play better than they have all season long. They went on a crazy tear. They tied this game up. They made us believe that it was a completely brand new team in. It's just, unfortunately, that team kind of just went away, and we saw, I don't want to say the usual AlleyCats show back up, but I mean, there's a reason why it's 13-8.
And some of the highlights from the first half, Paul Krennick going up against the MVP candidate Elliott Hawkins, Seth Gudeman and Noah Kuhlman up in the air together. The battles in the air tonight have been great. There's been contact, there's been grittiness. Kuhlman's been playing out of his mind.
Yeah, Kuhlman especially. He's got 2 blocks and 3 assists. He's leading the team right now in most of the stats, but man, way to get up there, Cam Lacey. There's just so many of these turns, so many of these high-flying catches, and we've almost kind of forgotten about some of these crazy huck attempts and layout bids by, Sophion in particular. And I think the AlleyCats in particular are going to need a lot more individual, miracle plays to get back into this game.
I think so too. I think Indy's going to have to pull out some of their, one of the things that amazed me in the Madison game is when Jake Felton had an inside huck, same third to Cameron Brock, and Brock came off the field going, who does that? Who throws that? But it was a perfect throw. I think we are going to need to see some of that. Indy is going to have to push the tempo just slightly to be able to get Minnesota hopefully on their heels.
Yeah, well, one thing that I've noticed is that Minnesota's been playing this very tight under D, and then it leads this whole back half of the field to be so open. And as soon as Indy is able to punch 1 or 2 passes up to about the 40-50, all of a sudden you've got 2 people streaking deep, and Minnesota's under on them still, and it's giving them those opportunities to take those deep shots. So I think if Indy can continue to keep doing that, where they holster that deep throw until just a little bit later down the line, I think they're going to be in a prime position to start clawing some of these points back. But, I think it all starts with players like Connor Kincannon finding some more insane blocks.
And they're the second half, the last 24 minutes of the game, man, they're going to be trying to punch their ticket to championship weekend, which will be taking place August 27th and 28th over at Breeze Stevens Field in Madison, Wisconsin. And right now, I wouldn't put Indianapolis out of this game by any means. Both teams can very well punch their ticket to championship weekend, but a lot of work is needed to be done on the AlleyCat side.
Yeah, and it's certainly within the realm of possibility. You know, I've said it before, they already played that way, and we can see the 7 already getting set on that line, as the AlleyCats will be throwing Wettengel, Little, and Connor Blaylock, to just name 3. But I'm going to be seeing if we notice any big changes coming out, you know, what Busberg has directed their players to do, if they're going to start showing a different look on both offense or the defensive side of the ball.
And right now for Indy's D-line, we're looking at, from top to bottom on your screen, Kai Creed, Jake Wall, Nate Little, Connor Kincannon, William Wettengel, Jack Gall, and Connor Blaylock, as Minnesota's offense is set to receive to kick off this second half of the Central Division Championship. Bevon with the disc near side. Over to Gordon Larson, who has been quiet tonight. Watch for his name to be called a lot here in this second half, I'd assume.
Yeah, and Gordon Larson's been doing a lot of things well. He's 100% completion rating so far and over 22 completions. He's kind of being the workhorse handler for Minnesota. Nothing super flashy, but he's just getting the job done, doing the dirty deeds that need doing.
And normally he's the one that's lighting up the stat books. I mean, he had a stretch in the middle of the season where he had 4 games and 22 assists, 6 assists in 3 of them. And now tonight he's a little bit more quiet, but it goes back to what you were saying earlier of Minnesota being such a team-centric squad. As Will Brandt is trying to get it up to Bevon, gets in front of Jake Wall. Bevon just a step outside the end zone. Cousins, easy little touch pass to Noah Kuhlman, who's lighting up the stat book in his own respect.
Yeah, and this is just once again, you're looking at these plays and it's everybody doing one thing. Did Noah Kuhlman do all that point? No, he gets the goal, sure, but Bevon had a great catch. You have all these different players doing this huge thing, and that's a great throw by Brandt just to get him there. He'll pick up a hockey assist for all this, but once again, good job, or excuse me, I guess Bevon will be getting the hockey assist. I have the memory of a goldfish, apparently. But it's a great note, I think, for Minnesota to come out, punch another score in, and basically say, oh, we haven't forgotten where we were at. The second quarter is still going in our books.
That was a very efficient and quick point by Minnesota. Kuhlman, 3 assists, 1 goal, 110 throwing yards on top of his 2 massive blocks that he's had this game. And Indy's O-line is going to see if they can replicate Minnesota's O-line efficiency. Cameron Brock with the disc.
Oh, what a catch.
Layout by Jake Felton. Up to Hawkins. The dynamic duo. They coined themselves the Sling It Brothers. Hawkins and Felton hucking it the most in the entire league out of individual players. And it looks like we have a call on the field right now.
I don't see any indication yet as to what's happening, but it looks like it is against Minnesota as they're all walking forward.
He put up that the ref put up that T sign. Gotta wonder if someone was jawing a little bit too much on that sideline or on the field to the refs.
Do you think it's a technical call just on the team?
It might have been. I mean, I didn't see any major contact on the field at the moment, but regardless, Felton punches it into Elliott. And, I mean, we said they were trying to replicate the efficiency, and that's exactly what just happened.
Oh, yeah. Basically, exactly 1 minute off the clock, and they'll still be within 5. And it's going to be a long slog to that climb up to the top of Everest. You know, one of the phrases that I like to use to talk about this is it's journey before destination. Every single step, it's the next one that's the most important. And if they can continue working, continue grinding, they will see success. They might need some help from Minnesota making a few mistakes, but Lord knows that Minnesota certainly is capable of making them.
They are few and far in between, and that's where Indy needs to take advantage. But, I mean, Felton has one of the best visions in the entire league, being able to get it to Hawkins with a pretty, easy goal for those two. Hawkins, getting his own, only 1 assist, 1 goal, about 250 total yards, and Minnesota's doing a very good job of containing Elliott right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's still been putting in a pretty impressive, series so far. An assist, a goal, and 250-odd yards, not considering that last catch he had. But certainly those numbers could have been a lot higher. As this shot, I don't know if he's going to get there in time. That's a bit too far, a bit too much mustard on it for Will Brandt.
Zach Morton with another turn. Actually, that was Gordon Larson. My apologies. Gordon Larson, that huck turn gives Indy a chance, and this is exactly what they wanted, but they gave it right back. A turnover by Jack Havey outside the outstretched hands of Xavier Payne. Minnesota's off and running already. Will Brandt, high release, has enough to get into the end zone to Josh Klein. And Minnesota up 6, and that's exactly what cannot happen for the AlleyCats if they get a chance like that.
Yeah, I mean, that is exactly what they had, was a chance, an opportunity, and you can have as many turns as you want, but if you can't hold on to the disc, it just does not matter. This throw, it's ill-advised. Maybe it's a zig and a zag, some miscommunication between, upfield and downfield, but, if you get that gift wrapped for you from Minnesota, you can't be throwing it away, and Minnesota's not going to make the same mistake twice. Josh Klein grabbing another goal. He's had quite a few this season as well, despite normally being a backfield handler.
Klein has been playing very well. He's having one of his most efficient seasons of the year. I mean, he has the highest completion percentage right now at 95.12%. The University of Minnesota product, playing at the top of his game in his 11th season of the year, or 11th season of his career.
Yeah, and Minnesota has a fair number of extremely experienced players, Bevon and Klein, just to name two, but I think they pair well.
Carter Hawkins to his brother Elliott, rips it down. Elliott just a few yards outside the end zone, and he's going to float it. Cam Brock's going to track it down. Easy O-line point for the Indianapolis AlleyCats, it seemed like, on that one.
Yeah, they needed it. They've had some struggles with hucks. Maybe this gives them a little bit more confidence to start throwing it again. And I think, once again, it just shows the pure ability, athleticism, knowledge, whatever you want to pick. This throw is just put on a platter. It's easy to get. Minnesota has no chance at it whatsoever. And it's just a very easy, nice lead disc to Cam Brock for his 8 billionth score in the UFA.
Cam Brock, the most prolific goal scorer that we've ever seen grace a UFA field. I mean, the second career leading in goals doesn't even sniff close to what Cameron Brock has done throughout his career.
Well, 15-10, 9 minutes left in the third, and Minnesota will receive once more. We'll see if they can bring it back to a 6-goal game as Gordon Larson and Josh Klein kick this one off.
Larson is going to find Bevon again, who's been heavily involved in his first game back from injury. Will Brandt turned around Will Wettengel on that one, able to get open. You got to wonder if Will's injury is hindering his ability to change direction as quickly as he normally does. And now Brandt, they're just attacking him right now. Back to Gordon Larson. Larson and Brandt, former St. Olaf college teammates, brought home a D3 national championship. Ton of chemistry. Brandt up to Leo Savel Fernandez, knocking on the door. Bevon planted his feet in the end zone. Leo looked him off, floats it back to the middle of the field to Larson. Now Larson's going to find Morton front cone, beats Nate Little. Seems like it's easy pickings right now for this Minnesota O group.
Oh, I just got to say that, first off, Zach Morton, now with his 4th goal, is continuing to just have a great performance, but just the ability to change the angle of attack is so understated, opens up so much more of this field, and it's not like it wasn't seen coming. That reset throw hung in the air for a good 5 seconds, and they just hung there, just waited, and as soon as it was caught, Zach Morton is shooting off to that back corner, catches an easy catch.
What's even more just surprising about this Minnesota squad, Zach Morton being one of them, but just the young talent that they have. I mean, he has 4 goals in a Central Division championship game. He's going into his junior year at University of Madison right now, which is just, they have players like that across the board. Micah Davis, he's still attending Pittsburgh. I mean, they have other guys that we've seen throughout the season that aren't on the active roster tonight. But man, Minnesota's 20th is as good as a lot of teams' 9th, 10th, 11th guys on their roster.
Yeah, they're so very deep. And kind of going back to a point earlier, is they have so many of these very, very young players, but I think they are being shepherded, coached by some of these players like Josh Klein, like Bivon, who have so much experience and wisdom to impart.
They do have that, and on the other side, Indianapolis doesn't have as much experience, being one of the youngest teams in the entire league.
Save Brock.
Except Brock, obviously, and Carter Hawkins is going to shoot it deep again to his brother, and they connect once again, this time in the end zone. That looked, again, those two are feeling themselves. They have the connection. I would sure hope they do at some point, considering they are brothers. And I feel like that's a little bit of underlying chemistry between the two. But Elliott and Carter connect to push the gap to 5. We're about almost halfway through the third quarter.
Yeah, and maybe a bit of a, understated first half for Elliott, but he's got 2 goals now in the third, a couple of assists as well. He has over 330 total yards in this game alone, and there's still plenty of time left. He's, like I said before, he's been averaging 680, so just shy of about half of that so far. And if Minnesota is starting to let him kind of get open, get loose, get acclimated, I mean, keep your eyes on him.
So much for me saying Minnesota's been doing a good job containing Elliott, and they have not done so on the last couple points. Regardless, they do have some room to work with. Giant layout attempt by Joel Close, who's been doing it all season. Nate DeMorgan floats it. Will Brandt runs it down. Turned on the afterburners. Cross-field shot. Will Brandt points to his thrower. Nate DeMorgan says, man, that was a dot.
That was maybe the best throw we've seen in the game so far. Having a disc like that just float, stay up there, over the heads, giving the defenders no chance to get there, but all the time in the world to just run it out. I mean, look at this throw coming forward. It's so good. And when you have this power position, your defender is completely laid out, it's almost like a video game move. You get a wind up, really target your throw, and just let it loose. It's so good.
And that's my sincere apologies. I gave DeMorgan the credit on that throw. That was Noah Kuhlman, and who else to make that throw other than Kuhlman, who's just been putting on a show tonight and giving all the Minnesota fans, giving his team and everyone else on notice and saying, hey, this is why Minnesota brought me to this team right here. I'm going to make my impact to help bring this team back to championship weekend.
Yeah, but another shot just the other way. Does Cam Brock get there? Of course he does.
Brock, Soph Bontemps, Carson Chamberlain, Jake Felton down the field. Jake Felton to Soph Bontemps. And another quick point, man. These points are reeling off one after another, not even halfway through the third quarter.
I don't have the exact time, but that's got to be like 10 seconds for the entire length of the field.
Ridiculous. I think it had to have been, 3 throws on that one?
Yep, it's the catch. There's one Hawkins sending it so deep. Cameron Brock. You could look at this guy and be like, yo, he does not look like he's 38 and struggling against these 20-year-olds.
He's not struggling, that's for sure. He's playing one of his best games right now. I mean, he's had 14 goals outside of this game. He's had 14 goals in the last 2 games, that 10-goal performance he had in the regular season finale against Pittsburgh, and he's been playing incredibly well. And this Indianapolis AlleyCat team, I want to focus on Carter Hawkins with that throw that he just had. Busberg gives Carter a ton of credit that Carter doesn't pop off on the stat sheet, but he does the dirty work, and he keeps this offense running and moving and having a motor, and it's a lot of credit due to Carter.
Yeah, he has a 97% throwing accuracy, and he leads his team in hockey assists. To your point, it's all about making the right moves, getting people into scoring position, whether or not he's the one getting the assist.
And now Minnesota's offense back to work. Zach Morton up to Brandt. Former championship weekend MVP in 2024. Nate DeMorgan this time to Zach Morton. Lays out, makes the grab right before it hits the ground, gets up, screams, puts some energy into the team, puts some energy into the crowd. And that looked almost exactly like that Kuhlman throw just a couple points ago.
Yeah. 5th goal now for Zach Morton, and people can write whatever articles they want about Minnesota not having an elite downfield threat. But Zach Morton, I think, is putting them all to shame tonight. Look at his track. Look at that bid. Keeping the disc up. There is no doubt in anybody's mind that he caught that disc.
Morton has made some of the catches this year that just make my jaw drop between end of quarter, jumping over a sea of bodies. rising up to elevations that just don't look normal and then making layout catches like that. Like you said, 5 goals, 164 receiving yards as Max Hanscom helps him. Water looked like it went down the wrong tube for him over there. But
you need teammates for all sorts of things.
right. And now Indianapolis back to work. Man, we've had so many quick scores this quarter. And I wonder if it's going to continue at this point as the double team gets put on. Seth Gudeman, scooper throw over to Felton. It's going to continue. Felton takes a shot. Carson Chamberlain, Paul Krennic, who's going to get there first. Krennic gets there first. That's his second downfield block. The first one on Elliott, second one on Carson. And PK getting back to his playoff menace status and continuing his momentum that he had when he put on one of the best defensive showcases in the playoffs last season.
What a hammer!
And he continues this. Paul Krennic, second on the team in plus-minus with 40, and just adding to his totals. He only has 1 turnover this season, Nick. 1 turnover.
The whole season?
The whole season.
Are you sure about that?
Yep, he has 1 turnover on 127 completions.
That's absurd. That is frankly absurd. And now we're going to have the first time out of the second half called. And this is just I think right now, just such a strong start to the third quarter for the Wind Chill.
And this is where they make their money and hope to punch their ticket again. I've been saying it all day, but this is what the ultimate goal is. Before we look at that, we're going to look at Paul Krennic with a seemingly easy block for him because he knew he had position. That's what Paul Krennic is specialized in. I mean, he had 5 blocks in that semifinal game last year, playoff record, and he's been playing phenomenal, and it just continues. And hopefully they can get back to that so he can replicate that performance. Championship weekend 2026, Madison, Wisconsin, Breeze Stevens Field, August 27th and 28th. Both semifinal games happening on that Thursday. WUL versus PUL All-Star game right before the championship game on that Friday, August 28th. And right now, the other games that are going on, I mean, Empire and Glory are playing each other. Empire is up 2 as the game is reaching the 4th quarter. And that's going to be a barn burner to see which team comes out of the East. And then Oakland and Salt Lake just started their game a few moments ago. And we'll keep tabs on that as we get deeper into this one. But right now, Minnesota's O-line comes out into the field after the timeout on this break opportunity to really try to put this nail in the coffin to go up 7 and gain their largest lead of the game.
Right now, though, they are going the wrong way, taking reset after reset as the downfield defense from the AlleyCats has been superb. Gordon Larson, high stall count, forced to scuba. There's a defensive attempt, a huge bid, and what a play. And are they going to call a foul? I strongly disagree with that.
Kai Creed, one of the most consistent D-line players. He looks shaken up on that as we take another look at it. Larson Scuber, that was not a foul. I cannot agree with the foul call.
I think if anything, you could maybe even call a foul against Klain. I think Klain initiated the contact. I think Kai had the actual play on the disc at the right line. That should be AlleyCats' ball.
Kai Creed clearly frustrated with the call on that one, rightfully so. And again, like I said, Kai Creed has been, in his rookie year in the UFA, arguably the most consistent D-line player for the AlleyCats. And he's been playing incredibly well. He's being asked to guard some of the best players in the league.
Hand block?
As Cousins gets hand blocked by Connor Blaylock. And Indy's off and running right away. Kai Creed with the disc, trying to do some damage. Almost a close layout by Leo. And now Indy's back to work, going in and out of the red zone. Kai Creed floats it over. Blaylock trying to find someone. Jason Kemp punches it in. Break opportunity cashed in on.
Disc don't lie. That is exactly what Indianapolis needed. And even if that block does not count, it does not matter. The score is the ultimate goal here. It's now 13-8 as the AlleyCats get a desperately needed answer to Minnesota's break just a point before. And, I mean, it's small things, but Gordon Larson there getting stymied, getting frustrated, and oftentimes, coaches will tell you, you're not cutting for yourself, you cut for your teammate. Similarly, you're not playing defense on your one guy, you're playing defense on everybody at the same time, and that Aaron Scuber was exactly why, but, I mean, God, PK, what a player.
one of the smartest players in the entire league. He just knows how to win. That kid knows how to win. I say kid, but he's the same age as me. Graduated from Edina High School after winning, state championships, being one of the most prolific high school programs in the entire nation during his tenure there with, teammate Will Brandt. Went over to the University of Minnesota, did some damage over there as well, and has been playing off the charts for Winchell. And, has a ring to his title when Minnesota won 2024 as Morton toe taps it on the far side, gets it over to Kuhlman. Now Micah Davis, one of the most talented players on this Minnesota squad. Christian Johnson, KJ, over to Lucas Ambrose. Now this team is going to figure it out. Micah Davis, can he find Morton? 6th goal for Morton. Number 8 is just having himself a day and in the most important game in his career.
It is, another great throw to him as well. It's not like he's had the easiest things to deal with, but this one put on a platter for him right over the defender. No chance at a play on it. Lucas Ambrose, just take a look. It's a nice, cool, collected throw, but Micah Davis here, just an absolute bomb. There's no chance whatsoever, and that back corner has been Zach Morton's home.
Morton has been the most dominant in the end zone for Minnesota all season ever since he joined the team. This year alone right now, Morton has had 28 goals. He leads the team, not including the 6 that he's had tonight. He's had 17 goals in his last 4 games. We add on the 6 tonight, 23 in the last 5 games, and this game still has 15 minutes left to play.
Yeah. Well, 19-13, and it's been blow for blow in the third so far, and this quarter in particular has been incredibly high scoring. 6 goals for Winchell, 5 for the AlleyCats. It's a total of 11, matching quarter 2, but there is still another 3:30 to play.
And Jake Felton wants to rip it deep, decides to holster, gets it over to Cam Brock. And now Brock and Carter in the backfield together. Carter does find Soap. Wonder if Soap's going to try to pull the trigger. Didn't have anyone downfield to pull the trigger to, but Carter does. It's Cam Brock. Who else? DeClerc, the 2 veterans going at it. Cameron Brock with the bobble. Almost dropped it, but secures it last second, and he doesn't even look fazed by that bobble whatsoever.
That's just experience talking right there. That's, another great score. It's another good put, and I think the AlleyCats have kind of honed in on this. Let's work it up just a little bit, holster that deep throw until the time is exactly right. But, man, Brock, you could not have made that catch any closer. Also, not only just dropping, he was almost out on that right sideline.
He tried to catch it, and it, opposite sides of the disc, when you catch it, can create that, that flip over of the disc and that bobble. Regardless, Brock stays collected, stays composed, grabs that disc. He's almost at 300 receiving yards, 2 assists, 2 goals. Brock's doing everything he can to keep his team in this fight right now. But the weight will transfer over to James Pollard to try to set up his defense to get down there, in a magnificent pull that hangs up there as Jack Havey's already down on the handler space on the mark of Gordon Larson.
Yeah, his pulls on average have been lasting 6.5 seconds, which is near the best for the entire league. Cam Lacey, 6.2 this season. So pretty close from our most prolific puller as well. But now it's kind of out of Minnesota, taking a few throws just to get out of their own end zone. And a nice cross-field play to kind of get the disc moving.
Gordon Larson, catch and run, one of the best in the league at doing that. Now Larson is asking for his cutters to come on in, and he finds that inside throw to Bevon. Up to Morton. They're taking chunk by chunk. Gets it to Brandt. And Brandt hammers over the top, sees Greg Cousins, and that's going to be a very easy catch and score for the Tulane product. Greg Cousins, what he knows how to do, make big catches in big moments and score goals.
There's, I think, with both Will Brandt and Nate DeMorgan on the field, you can see Nate DeMorgan doing things like kind of pump fake that hammer, and you have to respect it, but I think people forget sometimes that Will Brandt, the maybe QB1 last season for Minnesota, has these throws too. And just take a look at this. The vision. You've got Pollard, the tallest defender on the AlleyCats, covering Cousins, but sorry, you can't be tall enough to guard that.
No, and it was perfect by Brandt to wait just that second. He could have released it earlier, but it would have given Pollard more of a tell and being able to wait just that half second and zip that hammer in there. I mean, like you said, he was QB1 last year. The roles have changed for Brant. He's been way more dominant in the deep space. That was something that he put people on notice to before the season even started. But Brant still has some of the hardest release points to guard in the entire league given his frame.
Now, it's very difficult to get, you know, a decent mark to be able to stop that. And at this level, this caliber, if you can release from, you know, 6-7 feet off the ground, you've got like 1 or 2 people in the whole league that can put up a decent defense against that.
Pollard's one of them, but he was on the defender cutter, not the mark. So that eliminates that. But right now, Indianapolis down 6, shooting 62% from deep. Minnesota a little bit worse on that mark. Doesn't matter. And this was something Coach Busberg had said in our phone call, that, you know, we want to prevent Minnesota to getting to that 20 mark as quick as they can. And they're already at that 20 mark, not even by the end of the third quarter. And he said if it happens, it's going to be tough sledding. Carter Hawkins wants to say something about it, but Huck goes out of bounds to Seth Gudeman, and Minnesota back to the races. Micah Davis, far side, Lucas Ambrose.
He's got Suflo in the middle of the field. Plenty of targets, but he'll take a reset dump instead. He's got Justin Burnett on the far right side. Break side throw, will elect not to take it. Just back to Suflo. Still coming in and around, and Minnesota, I think, is going to be very content to just burn clock. 40 seconds left here as KJ continues to play with both Davis and Ambrose. So Ambrose now looking on the side. 30 seconds left in the third quarter. Still holding, still waiting. And Minnesota, once again, the clock is their friend right now. They do not have to do anything fast, as once again, Suflo coming in, great sliding catch to keep possession alive.
And now Micah Davis and Suflo are going to dribble it up the field. Seconds left, under 10 seconds. That throw is a little bit too far, just out of the reach of Lucas Ambrose. And now, you know, in most scenarios here, I would say, you know, Indy's in an incredibly tough position, right? Except Indy's throwers to be able to release this and get this down the field in just 4 seconds is better than almost anybody in the entire league.
Oh, yeah.
They have the ability to do so, and they're going to ask Seth Gudeman to do it. Seth Gudeman releases the flick huck. Elliot Hawkins downfield. Noah Coleman gets a little bit of bump and just misjudged the disc as Coleman is still on the ground, which might be a tad bit concerning right now as Blake Crothel helps him up. So that'll be a thing to look at, and he looks like he's walking off fine. Hawkins head down, a little bit maybe frustrated with himself after not being able to fully read that disc.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough throw to make from Seth Gudeman, who doesn't make so many of these deep shots. It's in contention, just a little bit too high.
It's a tough one when everyone knows what you're about to do, but for right now, we have Minnesota 20, Indianapolis 14, 12 minutes left in the game. Come back and enjoy it for the rest of the game in just a couple minutes.
Why not you, and why not now? Guys, let's go! Working. Go!
In just 12 minutes, we will crown the Central Division champion who will be able to punch their ticket to championship weekend in Madison. But first, through 3 quarters. Minnesota's up 6 right now. Nick, what stands out most to you right now out of those stats?
Well, that one more quarter, Minnesota added 3 turnovers. However, Indianapolis added many more, 4 more, and it's, it's showing. It's a 6-point game, and Minnesota, it was close in the first, and they opened it back up into the second, and the third, they just said, yeah, we're actually just here. We're not giving up, we're not letting go, and we are going to ride this momentum all the way to Madison.
Minnesota, one of the deepest teams, as we've said so many times on this broadcast. However, one of the things they emphasized at the beginning of the season of how fit this team is, how conditioned this squad is, and how long they can run for, and they've shown it all season where either late in the second quarter or early in the third quarter, they start to pull away, and you can see a clear difference in the energy from Minnesota versus their opponent. It's exactly what we saw in the third quarter.
Well, I just want to put one feather in Indy's caps. They are still making diving bids on a number of these plays, even into the third, and it's hard to do that if you're gassed.
That is very true, and right now, as we take a look, while this point goes on, we saw Carolina lose to Austin last night by 1, so Austin is the first team that claimed their bid to championship weekend. Minnesota is looking like the likely second. But right now, New York and Boston are in a neck-tight game. New York up by 1 in the fourth quarter, and Oakland jumped out to a very good lead on Salt Lake early on in their game, up 4 right now.
Cam Brock with the disc, middle of the field, double team for the moment. He'll find a great reset. Call? No call?
Integrity call by Cam right there. You see the shake of the hands right there. It's a changed hand formation from last year. Last year it was the X across the chest. This year it's the handshake. Ooh. And Kyle Suflo.
Little bit of a risky bid. No call on it. I think that's probably right. Gudeman quick to get up. Love to see that.
Carter has the disc near side, gets it to Felton. Felton's going to want to shoot it, and he does very casually. Inside-out flick. So Bontemps trying to box out Ambrose. To no avail. Ambrose with the block. And man, the reason that these 2 big names got brought in here, Ambrose and Kuhlman, at the beginning of the season made waves signing with Minnesota, right? 2 just one of the highest prolific and most versatile players in the entire league. They are showing out in this game. And that hammer throw goes long. Justin Burnett able to snatch it before it goes out of bounds, gets it to the middle of the field. Now it's in the hands of PK.
He's had a couple of those toe-tapping, saving catches. He's got a knack for making them. But Minnesota, once again, has to continue to work this one up. And a great hammer to move the disc, get the runners going. And, oh, my God, what a send. What an opening. Closing in, though. Huge block from Cam Brock.
As he turns around right away and he releases it. Jake Felton racing it down. Massive layup. Oh, my goodness. Glasses down off the hat. Felton goes diagonal in midair to grab that from Cameron Brock, and Kai Creed goes there to hype up his teammate. Felton, no stranger to these just insanely athletic plays, but I think that might take the cake on that catch.
I mean, no. I mean, that's SportsCenter worthy right there. That is a logo catch. Look at the bottom of your screen after this highlight package. First off, the audacity from Cam Brock to just throw it afterwards. Oh my God, he's horizontal. He's flying. He's Superman. He's everything. That is insane. A sensational catch. I cannot believe it.
Felton, one of the most athletic players, and it goes by the wayside because, his height isn't necessarily up there. It's not in 6 feet, as Kai Creed almost gets that layout block, but, Felton still can play with the best of them, and obviously he's helped lead his team to this playoff spot and just showed every reason as to why he's one of the top players in the league on that catch. Not many people in this league can make that grab.
21 goals coming into this game. Felton, I'm still in awe, gobsmacked by that, performance, and I think the AlleyCats, if you needed a reason to keep on fighting, he just gave you one.
And now Cousins and Brandt are going to try to eliminate some of that momentum that Indy garnered on that amazing grab. And Larson with the disc calm, trying to figure out where to go. Rifles it. Klain lays out, saves the possession. Klain, other side, sees Cousins. Cousins trying to find Brandt right over the top of the Jack Gall arm. Brandt with the goal, and that wiped away any type of momentum or energy that Indianapolis got on that catch. Back up to 6.
You know, I know that Brandt just got it, but can we see that highlight once more? Actually, can we see that one? It's so good, but it's Brandt making such a catch that he can only make. But I mean, just come on. Come on. People, you dream. If you play Ultimate, you dream about making a catch like that. I mean, that goes through your mind every night. And Josh Klain saying, anything you can do, I can do almost as good. He'll make a great catch. And it's not nearly as emphatic, but it's a goal nonetheless. They're both equal to 1, and Minnesota will, they'll answer right on back.
Yep, they're all worth the same at that point, and this is what happens. Face guarding Will Brandt in the end zone isn't necessarily the best idea. It happens when you get forced into it. That's what happened to Jack Gall. And now Indy's offense, Seth Gudeman has Cameron Brock wide open, but no one was on the mark, so he could have held it as long as he wanted. No one was within 10 feet of him. And now Elliot Hawkins has the disc in hand. Looked for his brother, opted to go to Cam up the field. And Elliot, they have Carson Chamberlain, other side of the field. And Felton's going to find him, this missile, and it comes down with an easy goal for Carson. Felton makes that throw look incredibly simple. That is not an easy throw for the viewers at home.
Mm-hmm. And interestingly, for Minnesota, they shifted to a bit of a zone defense at that point. There was nobody covering the handlers right on. Sometimes Minnesota throws this when they want to burn a little bit more clock, and it's meant to kind of just slow the game down, but the AlleyCats just wrote a textbook on how to get right on through it. They found those opening gaps, they took that shot, and you do have a deep back there, but, I mean, you can only cover so much space.
That zone type of defense, I will say right now, will get thrashed by this Indianapolis offense simply because of the throwing talent from Elliott, from Jake. Those two can make any throws from any point of the field at any angle. I'm not exaggerating that. They can throw full length. If you give them an open look to be able to cleanly get off a huck, good luck trying to cover it. As Busberg likes to say, Felton doesn't really miss people on his throws. He just sometimes doesn't realize how close the defender is on some of his deep looks. As Will Brandt's going to throw up a deep huck of his own. Zach Morton, who else? Zach Morton up the field. Nate DeMorgan. You got Greg Cousins bustling down to the end zone, and he's going to get rewarded from DeMorgan. Quick goal, quick answer, back up, 22-16.
Another great shot. Minnesota not afraid at all, and I think that's exactly how you have to play against the AlleyCats. If they want to shoot it deep, you need to show them that, hey, we can do this too. We also have incredibly talented throwers, and it's tough, I think, for a defender like Pollard to stay with somebody like Cousins. It's often, the Achilles heel of these really tall defenders that it's difficult for them to kind of switch on a dime, get those fast cuts, and Cousins does exactly what you're supposed to do. He follows the disc down there. It's almost like chasing your shot in basketball, looking for an offensive rebound. You're just trying to provide your player who caught this massive disc, or, the continuation thereof, an easy way in and not get stalled out, not force Ben Feldman to call a timeout.
And Cousins did get rewarded with his second goal of the game, on top of his 3 assists that he has and nearly 200 total yards. And he's been a phenomenal player tonight. Now Indy is gonna, they have an 8th defender at this point, with the clock being that 8th defender. It's getting worse. Cam Lacey, it doesn't stop. Minnesota says, I'm gonna just continue to put you in the dirt. And Cam Lacey at the forefront of that, in that massive layout block. Now PK with the disc. They're gonna try to get this. Seth Gudeman try to come from the backside.
No call. Nope. He'll be successful.
Seth Gudeman, incredible wherewithal to be able to poach that block, but yet prevent any egregious contact on that one. Albeit there was still a little bit of contact. Felton, another casual inside-out huck. Is it going to be too low? Soap on top, somehow grabs it, almost on top of his head. David Tyree in the Super Bowl-esque. And now Bontemps punches it into Gudeman. Bontemps has been making catch after catch after catch. that just makes us wonder, how can one do this?
That is a big-time catch, a big-time play, and once again, it's all thanks to Seth Gudeman putting in the dirty work, getting that block, hustle plays, telling his team, you know, they're still making plays, we can still make plays too. And I think it's actually great right now that the AlleyCats continue to take deep shots like this. I mean, it's well contested by Lacey. I can't believe he has the wherewithal to come back and grab that on the second effort. Absolutely insane from Bontemps, and it is, I mean, that is an A-plus play right there. But there's a phrase I want to introduce you to, and it's called playing to your outs. And if there's only one way to win this game for the AlleyCats, it might be score fast, find blocks, do it again, right? You kind of have to bring the ball down, chuck up a three, get a block, foul them on purpose just so you can do it once more. And that might be the only way, with 6 minutes left, that the AlleyCats can come down from being 5 in the hole.
And they just started their first step onto that journey after that roller pull, the double team on the sideline from Will Brandt, and it never came back inbounds. So Elliott is going to be able to take it from the sideline where Brandt was. If that disc does not come back in bounds or be touched by a player that is in the field of regulation, then it goes back to where the throw was placed or where the disc went out of bounds. And now a strip call on Nate DeMorgan when Jack Gall had the disc. That's an easy 10 for Indianapolis, and now Indy's going to look to try to cash in this break chance to push the deficit to 4, which would be huge for them right now. 5.5 minutes left on the clock. Xavier Payne at the helm. Payne over to Kai Creed. Creed, U20 Canada representative. And now Payne back up to Creed. Creed just a little bit too antsy, got a little bit too greedy, and was too short on that throw to Jack Gall. Nate DeMorgan sitting in that front corner zone right there of the end zone, easily able to get that disc. And now Leo Savel Fernandez gets it off the sideline. That's a huge blow to this Indy D-line.
Yeah, this is once again a big gift from Minnesota, and for them not to be able to punch in that goal to actually find the score, I mean, that is wind out of your sails. That is, Will Brandt does not make those mistakes easily or often, and instead,
DeMorgan to Brandt up in the sky. Elliott takes it down. That's a tough battle. That's a premier battle in the air between those two, as Elliott is going to call a timeout on the field, get a little bit of rest for his squad. And you can tell that, Indianapolis is getting a little bit worn down from just the way Minnesota plays Frisbee and just wearing down their opponent point after point.
4.5 minutes to make up 5 scores. You're over 1 score per minute rate, and that's incredibly tough to do, especially if Minnesota, when they do get the disc back, they can try to play keep away. They can just do that the whole time, but AlleyCats are not giving up this fight. They are not saying we're done here. They continue to put on huge blocks, huge performances, and it's so sad. Kai Creed had the exact right look going into that end zone. He just did not put enough on that disc.
The crowd is feeling themselves right now. Like you said, Nick, over 2,000 people here, which has been the standard at Seafoam Stadium. I will say it, they have been putting on the best show in the UFA for every single one of their home games. They broke the single season, regular season game attendance record on their youth night versus Salt Lake, even with torrential downpours and tornado-like winds to start that game. They still had over 2,800 people, and I'll be curious to find out the exact number because, man, this crowd is electric. These stands are jam-packed.
Everybody's standing.
The beer garden is loaded. The kids zone is loaded. I mean, everyone is here right now, and this is even with all the events going on in downtown Minneapolis tonight. However, we still have 4 minutes and 20 seconds left to see what Indy can muster up.
They have to shoot. They have to shoot right now, and they're going to. They've got Sophion down there, but this disc is hanging up for a long time.
Might go out of bounds here. Burnett tries to fly in there, and I believe Burnett made the most impact on that block, or wasn't necessarily a block, but blocked the eyesight and eye line of Bontemps on that. It might have been too far out of the reach. And Carter Hawkins near Callahan runs in there on the Burnett throw, and now Carter gets it into Seth. just past the hands of Micah Davis. What a turn of events.
That was an insane series, and it's one of those throws that you always want to make. You're like, oh, this guy is open, but you're blinded. That double team is shading the vision, and you can't see the streaking Carter in. And, I mean, it is a miracle that it wasn't a Callahan. Does not matter. They still get the goal afterwards. Now a 4-goal game, 3:45 left to play. The clock continues to be the 8th defender. But now Minnesota will have a chance to really burn some time, really play keep away, and just put this game to bed. At least that's the game plan.
Yeah, you see here, Burnett jumps up, gets in the eyesight of Bontemps, and then Burnett just didn't see Carter coming out of the handler space right there. Gets the block in front of Noah Hansen, and then Micah Davis just a little bit late on that reaction when Seth gets in there. And what a turn for Indy. They needed that. Obviously, they need anything that they can go their way right now as they throw a fake double team on the sideline. Back off of it, Will Brandt to former college teammate Larson. Larson over to Leo, and this is exactly right. I think if Minnesota scores this goal and chews at least a tiny bit of clock off, this is the nail in the coffin right here. Indy cannot let them get in the end zone.
Yeah, I do not want to see Minnesota take deep shots. I want to see them take nice high percentage throws. Zach Morton gets open. He'll center the disc once more. And Minnesota here, they should be looking behind. They should be looking to just deaden the clock more and more.
And now Will Brandt has the disc in the red zone, trying to find someone. And now Gordon Larson's going to do it himself. Can he fit it into the back corner? And it's just out of bounds, too far. You know, Zach Morton has a lot of abilities. He's an incredibly high-flying player, but just not enough high-flying to get to that disc by Larson.
That was, though, 60 seconds off the clock. And once again, the AlleyCats, if they're not shooting right now, I don't see how they're getting. But the last timeout, I believe, for Busberg and the AlleyCats will be taken, resetting some time, getting the right threats out there, and see what they can do coming out of this.
And just a quick update, real quick. The team that came here, the Boston Glory, just a few weeks ago, the reigning champions of the UFA, were just eliminated by the New York Empire just a couple minutes ago. So the New York Empire 24, Boston 21. New York has officially punched their ticket to Madison for championship weekend with that star-studded team of theirs. So now it is just down to 2 left, 2 spots remaining. Minnesota is most likely going to fill it. And then we have Salt Lake and Oakland, which will conclude after our game as well. And they are trying to play for the August 27th and 28th over in Madison, Wisconsin at the illustrious Breeze Stevens Field semifinals, taking place at 5 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. on that Thursday, and then the championship game the following night. And right now, Minnesota is right on their way to join New York and Austin in the Final Four. Soph Bontemps has the disc near side. Over to Carter. We'll see how much Indy will continue to put on the pressure in the remaining 2 minutes.
They've got a deep shot, not taking it yet. Cam Brock getting it at the 45. Every single second that he's waiting is a second they won't have later, but he'll take the shot. He's got Sophion down there, boxed out, and he finds the score!
That was great positioning by Bontemps on one of the best defenders in the entire league, Lucas Ambrose. Brock knew that disc needed to go up. And Bontemps here just has the position, just simply put out the arm a little bit, checked where Ambrose was, realized he was behind him, said, okay, this is an easy grab for me. I have the positioning. And now Indianapolis down 3, 2 minutes to go. I mean, if Indianapolis can get a break quickly on this point, they're well within striking distance.
They have slowly but surely been clawing back. It was 6 down, then 5, then 4. Now only 3 points separate these two teams. 22-19 as a roller pull out of bounds just past the halfway mark as Minnesota moves up to take it. Will Brandt on the sideline, guarded by Little.
And now we're going to take a look here. Minnesota wants to chew some clock. Minute 45 left. Gordon Larson, disc middle of the field, trying to find someone, and they should be in no rush to do anything right now.
Yep. Klein on the near sideline will pick it up, instantly sends it back.
Larson to Morton, near side. Morton has had a couple turns today. Doesn't turn it on that one. Gets it to Brandt. Up to Gordon. And Gordon might not be on the stat sheet a whole ton, but he might be the reason they close this game out in these final minutes.
70 seconds.
And this one looks to be all but locked up for the Minnesota wind chill. I mean, less than a minute left. Josh Klain milking it. These guys are just going back and forth. Indy's going to have to just apply some really heavy pressure in order to get a turn here, but it doesn't look like, I mean, the team that turns the disc, one of the fewest in the entire league. Gordon Larson out wide, nobody on Klain. Everyone's disc focused. Klain shoots it. Zach Morton, I think Klain had enough of it. And it's going to fall to the ground, but I mean,
that was another 2 minutes kind of chewed up, and 35 left, 34, it's still ticking.
We're on the verge of history right now, folks. Minnesota just 20 seconds away from punching their 4th straight Central Division title. Well, a feat only 4 other programs have done, 4 other teams that have accomplished that feat. And with a win here, Minnesota staples its legacy into the UFA as one of the most dominant franchises in recent years. Elliot Hawkins wants to get a little bit more redemption. My bad. Xavier Payne wants to see a little bit more on the scoreboard as he gets it to Jack Gall with that hammer throw at the buzzer. 20-22 final score. Minnesota officially at championship weekend for the 4th straight year in an attempt to get their 2nd title in 3 years and potentially get back to the championship game for 3 years running now. Congratulations to Minnesota. Indianapolis, a heck of a season, being able to grind through all of the publicity that happened early in the season, bringing in all these big names, off to a slow start, and then rally back in the back half of the season to get here, win a playoff game, get to this moment, and only lose by 2. I mean, it was an impressive showing from Indianapolis.
Oh, I think more than impressive. And I might be going out on a little bit of a limb here, but I think Busberg deserves a whole ton of credit for the entire performance for the AlleyCat this year. I don't know if he's going to be able to get Coach of the Year, but I think he should at least be in the conversation. From taking a program that struggled so much in 2025 to having them on the verge of heading to championship weekend would be insanely impressive, and I think speaks volumes to what he's been able to accomplish here. And to the whole AlleyCats organization, they've played so incredibly well, and I'll tell you this, as long as they don't lose much of their talent pool going into next year, I am incredibly excited to see what can happen if just 1 or 2 of these hucks is not turned. Just 1 or 2 more scores, because every turnover that Minnesota is able to accomplish and not score, that is a 2-goal difference. And what was the final difference? Just 2. So it was just 1 score that needed to be made instead of Minnesota getting it, and we could be going into overtime or seeing a different champion of the Central.
It's been a phenomenal run thus far for Minnesota. They now advance their record to 12-1 on the season. Regular season 11-1, got the bye. Now they're in their own home stadium, walking away with the division title. And man, this Minnesota team is going to be incredibly hard to take down come the end of the month. And right now we have New York, Minnesota, Austin, and what looks to be potentially Oakland with still a 4-point lead on Salt Lake. Now, if Oakland wins that game, the seeding proceeds as Minnesota at number 1, Oakland at number 2 if Oakland were to win, and then Austin at 3 and New York 4. So that means we would be blessed with a Minnesota-New York semifinal game.
Oh God, that would be such an insane matchup. I mean, there's the brother-on-brother action, Gabe Yacht versus Ben Yacht, but we might be getting a little ahead of ourselves here. But there's still a couple weeks away to go before championship weekend, and make sure after this broadcast you tune in to watch the tail end of the Oakland-Salt Lake game.
That's exactly right. And for right now, we are going to listen into the player of the game interview with Noah Kuhlman, who put up a phenomenal game. He would.
First playoff win all time. Feels pretty freaking good.
And
These fans are excited for you. They've been here at this home field all season cheering you guys on. They're going to be with you guys. Do any message for this crowd tonight?
Come out, have fun. We're going to take it all the way and go win chill.
No, thank you.
Noah Kuhlman, what a phenomenal game, throw after throw, showing why he was brought to the Minnesota Wind Chill. And man, he contributed at the most in this game to the 14-25 O-line conversion rate. He had 4 assists, 1 goal, 2 blocks, both of them phenomenal. He had about 220 yards. And man, Noah Kuhlman just showing why he deserves to be on one of the best teams and how he can make an impact at the tippy top level.
And it's not just on offense or defense. He split his time basically 50-50 between the 2 lines tonight. And I think that's one of the things that the AlleyCats do exceptionally well is they have so many players crossing over. And Minnesota, I think, could take a little bit of a leaf out of their book and have more players like Kuhlman kind of making those transitions where the lines are a little less set and a little bit more, as the game, progresses. And, with potentially only 2 games left in the season for the Wind Chill, every single decision that this coaching staff and the players on the field make is going to matter in a big way.
It is going to, and Minnesota hopefully able to stay healthy throughout this game. Hopefully nothing kind of happened too egregious. There was a lot of contact in this game. It was a heavy contact game, and there were some dangerous plays at moments. But, I mean, at the end of the day, Minnesota dominated the deep space time and time again.
Yeah, I think they can really hang their heads that, it's obvious that the AlleyCats brought their A game. Sure, they had some turnovers. What team doesn't, especially when your game plan relies around so many hucks? But Minnesota contested so many of them. They had so many blocks. They forced a lot of not so great throws as well. And, we left our seats on some of these absolutely incredible plays from both teams, and it just shows how much they are pushing pedal to the metal, that they are pushing everything to the limit. I mean, that catch alone from Connor Kincannon is just somehow only the 5th or 6th best play in this entire game. I mean, Bontemps had 2 or 3 highlight reels on his own, but it's just not quite enough from the AlleyCats, and I think the Wind Chill are going to really have to look back at this film and really have to analyze, where did we go wrong? Oh, some of these throws a little too errant, some of these throws not quite right. How are we going to hone this up? Because against a potentially better team, it's not going to fly.
They are going to have to polish some things up. They're one of the best coaching staffs in the entire league, as it's shown, 4th straight division title. I keep saying it. I'm just going to keep saying it more and more. But Minnesota, congratulations on the win and the ticket to championship weekend. And, as the last broadcast here at Seafoam Stadium, we would like to thank the entire broadcasting crew, producer and director Ryan McHugh, camera ops, Lauren Beaubert, Colin McDougall, John McLennan, Sam Hirschhorn, assistant directors Sam Bugler and Claire Riley, production assistant Ellie Mae Knutson, and then the commentary. You've been hearing our voices all season. Myself, Ryan Baker, Nikhil Jain, who I'm alongside too today, and Kelsey Percy. A giant thank you goes out. We would have never been able to put on the productions that we would have this year without everybody included. So thank you so much to everyone that tuned in. Minnesota 22, Indianapolis 20, Minnesota on their way to Madison for championship weekend.